is Whataburger Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Youmans, Zach Wolchuk, Eric Chiofalo, and Hek'ma Harrison.
Whataburger Friday Night Stars, 3 down, 3 to go in the Texas high school football playoffs. Oh my goodness, it has been a ride so far, and that ride is halfway over with. It's sad to think about that we have 3 weeks left of Texas high school football in 2018, but with that being said, it only ramps up from here. Thanks for joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. We're live from the Star in Frisco. Glad you're with us, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, or Twitter. Kyle Youmans alongside Hek'ma Harrison, Zach Wolchuk, and Eric Chiofalo. Boys, are you as excited about the regional finals as I am?
Wolchuk couldn't sleep last night. This dude was blowing me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Say, dude, I am so hyped. Can we just start the show now?
I don't think I've slept all week.
He wanted to do a pregame show from 8 o'clock this morning until right now.
We should have stayed on the air, I think, this entire time. We should never have gotten off the air last week. We should have stayed on through Saturday, Sunday, and this week especially.
Now, that's a bad idea, but definitely.
No, Hector, you can do this.
There have been some.
Caffeine. We got an IV in you. You'll be fine.
Yeah, wives and kids and all those great things. But at the same time, guys.
And that's a you problem, bro. We ain't got none of that.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So tomorrow, though, the matchups are heavenly.
My goodness.
Oh, man.
Are they ever? Even tonight, we got some good ones.
Yeah,
Yes,
good matchups tonight. A lot of good ones tomorrow. Let's go look at through really the 6A and 5A bracket, starting with 6A Division 1. This is a look at the Elite 8, the Final 8, the regional finals that we've got to talk about.
Look at that first one.
Oh, the first one is just legendary. Has a chance to be an instant classic. South Lake Carroll, Duncanville, combined 25-0. Then you've got Allen and Waco Midway. Of course, my alma mater being Waco Midway. Coach Gamble, who was formerly the head coach at Waco Midway, now at Allen, as the Eagles have been able to really kind of run the table as they're the number 1 team in all of really the entire nation. Now let's go to 6A Division 2. Look at some of those regional finals. You got Haltom led by Michael Black at quarterback. Also Longview, one of the top teams as the Lobos, have just blown through their competition so far against Spring Westfield. Then we'll talk about Cypress Creek and Austin Westlake down there as well. Let's go to 5A Division 1. You talk about some good games, 2 of which being at the Star tomorrow, Birdville and Denton Ryan. Then you've also got Highland Park Tyler, John Tyler. That's a John Tyler team that may have had the most impressive win of the playoffs thus far, right up there with J.J. Pierce over Cedar Hill with their win last week in the way that John Tyler was able to take care of Frisco Lone Star. And finally, let's look at 5A Division 2, and that's where we see Wichita Falls Rider already into the state semifinals. But tonight we've got Aledo and Frisco Reedy to talk about, preview for tomorrow's matchup, and then also Fort Bend Marshall already moving on in a classic last night in Region 3 with Huntsville at 47-43 final score. And if you follow us on Twitter at Friday_Stars, we previewed and we teased Coach Terry Gamble this week on the show. Well, unfortunately, he's unable to join us, but we are joined in studio by Pat Doney from NBC5. Pat, thank you so much. Last second, I know, but we caught you over at the Star at a good time. And who better to talk about Texas high school football, especially in the North Texas area, than you? And I asked these guys a question to open up the show, said, how excited are you for the regional finals? What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. It's been an amazing season with high school football in North Texas this year. We've had some great storylines we've been able to cover all throughout the season. So our game of the week wrapped up early, a 5 o'clock kickoff in 4A with Glen Rose taking on Iowa Park. And when I got tapped on the shoulder and said, hey, you want to come over and talk high school football, I came jogging over. Couldn't wait to get here. It's been a great season so far, and I can't wait to see how it wraps up.
It really has been, and lots of games tomorrow at the Star, and you guys, of course, covering the games on Friday night. What game intrigues you the most throughout the regional final?
Well, it's hard to beat South Lake Carroll against Duncanville with what we've seen so far. South Lake Carroll's offense has been so impressive. Their running back, TJ McDaniel, going to SMU, has blown me away. I knew he was good when he transferred in for his junior year. I didn't know he was this good. So to be that good under head coach Riley Dodge, who takes the job at 29 years old, everybody's questioning whether or not he can do it or not. I kept pointing to Hey, the Los Angeles Rams are coached by a 32-year-old dude. I think Riley Dodge can handle a high school football team, right? And he's come in. He's been better than what I even expected. Southlake Carroll's the real deal. We were at that game last week against Euless Trinity. They blew out the Trojans. I didn't see that coming. Yeah. And on the other side, Duncanville, man, Reginald Samples, what a job he has done. That defense, there are Division I players all over the field on that team. 4 points a game is what they were giving up going into the playoffs this year. Undefeated. And during the regular season, they were talking state championship. They are not okay with just being in the quarterfinals. They expect to contend for the whole thing. They get a chance to prove that tomorrow against Southlake Carroll in a game that I can't wait for.
Yeah.
Now I got to say this, guys. When you say Sean McVay, now that is the exception and not the rule.
Sure, of course.
Yeah,
I get it.
But TJ McDaniels is definitely going to be a problem for Duncanville. But if you think about the body of work for Duncanville in this matchup, do you really think for 4 quarters that Southlake Carroll has a fighting chance to beat Duncanville?
Well, they absolutely have a fighting chance.
That's what
no question about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a very good game. Here's what I wonder about with Duncanville. They haven't really been tested all season. Yeah. You know, they had some interesting matchups early on that they blew out opponents. I expect this game to be close in the fourth quarter. So I want to know how they're going to handle adversity, how they're going to handle going against a team that's not going to back down. And I thought Southlake Carroll would have a hard time moving the ball against Euless Trinity. But Riley Dodge told me going into that game, they were trying to out Trinity in that game. And if you can push around and out physical Euless Trinity, you can handle anybody, I feel like, from a physical standpoint. Southlake Carroll's the real deal this year.
And Southlake's defense, I think, is underrated.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Because that offense always gets a lot of love. TJ McDaniel, Will Bowers, Riley Dodge, and they're incredible. But I think that defense, what they did to Coppell, what they did to Trinity, I mean, I think...
And DeSoto. I mean, they've beat a who's who of DFW area teams.
No question.
And I just think their defense has been underrated all year. We come into this game talking about a Duncanville defense that has just been flawless. But I think people in Duncanville especially are going to be surprised tomorrow when that Southlake defense rolls up on the field and you're like, holy smokes, this is not a team that's getting pushed over by any means.
No question about it. And, I mean, to go back to what you were saying as far as Sean McVay being the exception to the rule, well, so is Riley Dodge. Yeah. I mean, because he's proven that this team maybe should have been a little better than it had been the last couple of years, because here he is as his first year as a head coach. He has this team humming right now, and they believe. I mean, going into our game of the week last week, I was out at practice. You should have heard him giving the speech to his players about I wish I could trade places with you, and I would give anything to be another. And these guys, I just hear the Friday Night Lights music playing in the background, and I'm like, give me a helmet, coach. I'm in. I mean, whatever it takes. I mean, the guy, you can see why the players love the guy. You can see why the community has been so supportive of him, and they're undefeated for a reason. So I expect it to be a great game. I picked Southlake Carroll to win the game, even though I think it's going to be. It was the hardest game for me to pick this week. I think either team could win the game. Duncanville is outstanding, and it would not shock me at all if they win the game as well.
Wow. It's kind of crazy to think about, because on Friday Night Stars all year long, we've looked at Duncanville, like you said, how they were talking state championship. We were thinking the same thing. As legendary as that defense has been, we were looking at the Panthers to make a run for a state championship, but then you look at it and Southlake Carroll's waiting in the wings. And so that's how legendary of a matchup this has a chance to be. What other games kind of intrigue you? We talked about that Birdville-Denton Ryan matchup a little bit last week. What are you looking at in that match?
Yeah, so we did a feature on NBC5 with the Birdville backfield. Ladarius Mixon and Stone Earl, running back, quarterback. One is African-American and one is white, and yet they're brothers now. Because Stone Earl, the quarterback, his family took in Ladarius Mixon when they were both in 7th grade. Ladarius grew up in Alabama. His mom, a single mother, asked a relative if Ladarius could move in here in North Texas to have a chance at a better life. That lasted for a few months, and then the relative said, we need you to move back to Alabama. We can't do this anymore. And that's when Stone Earl's family stepped up and let him move in with them, and they consider him to be one of their sons now. They have guardianship of him. So the bond that those two guys have has been phenomenal to watch. They've been great on the field as well. They had this great season. Their only loss this year to Denton Ryan, and when they lost that game, they were saying, even though the score showed, I think they lost by 18, 17, they believed they were more in the game than what the score showed, and they wanted Denton Ryan again. Well, you got what you asked for. And I'm not sure it was wise to choose that route, but here they are now playing this Denton Ryan team that is undefeated, outstanding, and it's going to be here at the Star, and Birdville's looking for revenge for a chance to go to the state semifinals. By the way, those two guys, they're juniors. So they'll be back next year as well. It's been a great story to watch, and I think it's going to be a very compelling game Saturday night.
Pat, I've been curious because you're a California guy. I don't know how many people know that, but and you've been here for a few years now, so you know about the Texas high school football landscape. Compare that to the California high school landscape and what it's like.
I think the way I compare it is this: is I think that the best in California can compete with the best in Texas. In the modern days, St. John Bosco, they can play with Allen, they can play with the Lake Travises. I just don't think it's as deep in California as it is here in Texas. I don't think there are as many great programs, even though there are some great ones. Concord de La Salle is another one from up north, and there are some really good programs down in the San Diego area as well. But it just goes so deep here in North Texas. The other thing is, the games, there are big crowds in California for the games. No question on Friday night. I grew up going to games on Friday nights. It's why I was a ball boy from when I was 3 years old until 8th grade, okay? Wow. So it's what I loved and what I grew up with. But it's never, there are not stadiums like what you see in Allen or what you see in McKinney, okay? Yeah. There are packed stadiums where people go to games, but they play like a community colleges is a very common thing there. They don't have their own McKinney ISD stadium that cost however many millions of dollars, Palace Place for a football game. So I think it matters just a little more here, and it's deeper here. But I would tell you that like modern day out there in St. John Bosco, if they played Allen right now, that'd be a heck of a football game.
I have to go back to this, man. That story, I didn't know that was your story that you did on Earl and Mixon, but that was a phenomenal story.
Thank you.
If you were, I was in tears. I'm going to tell you right now, that was a good story. I didn't know that you did that, but just to see what Mixon has gone through, it made me pull for him even more because we do this show and we're looking at these kids. We see highlights and all that, and then they take their helmets off and they look like babies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But then with you going into their lives and basically showing the kind of character that they have and just his want to, it made you pull for Birdville even more.
No question. If you missed that story, by the way, you could see it. We're going to re-air it tomorrow night at 6:30 Inside High School Sports on NBC5, the 30-minute show that I host there over on NBC5. That story is in our rundown for tomorrow night.
Must watch. Absolutely must watch.
Is there another storyline from this year that stuck out to you, or even in years past since you've been in the DFW area?
Well, I'll stick with this year, and just a game that actually leads into tomorrow as well is, I didn't know how Chandler Morris was going to be able to handle taking over. You never want to be the guy to replace the guy, right?
Big shoes to fill.
And John Stephen Jones, the shoes were very big to fill there with what he did as the starting quarterback. And I had been hearing over and over again that Chandler Morris was really good. And then Chad Morris gets the job in Fayetteville as the Arkansas coach. And I worked in Fayetteville. I covered the Razorbacks for 3 years. I know the Fayetteville Bulldogs high school football program there. It's good football. Bentonville's a good football program there. But when I heard that Chandler was staying back to play at Highland Park, I thought, okay, these guys are serious. I mean, they're not messing around right now. And when I saw him in the spring game last spring, there was an out route he threw. It was just a basic play. Okay, not really much to it. He throws an out route, and it's a laser.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that guy's got a little something. So I mentioned it to Randy Allen, and he said, haven't had a player be able to throw an out like that since Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, now there's really something, right?
Thank you for validating.
There you go.
Me, right?
So
I pointed that out last week.
You did? No,
he's amazing. Isn't
he has a cannon. I mean, and he can move, and he's fluid. He's a junior, and he's coming in. He's had this amazing season. What is it? 28 games in a row. They've won now. They haven't lost since August of 2017. So now they're playing this John Tyler team that you were talking about earlier, playing great ball. I thought Frisco Lone Star was going to win that game. I
thought
think
so
Lone
too.
Star's great.
It
was a shocker when we saw that final.
So they've been upsetting people over and over and over again, and so now can Highland Park keep it going? Can they continue? And I think Chandler Morris is going to be a big key in that game because he continues to just play at this high level. I think he's going to be a big-time college quarterback now. And standing next to him, he's bigger next to him than he looks on the field, and he's only going to fill into his body more because remember, he's only a junior as well.
Unreal.
He has another year. So his arm...
We're littered with young underclassmen at quarterback.
No question about it.
And that game tomorrow with him and then Devlin Woods on the other side of the field, that's two good quarterbacks. I mean, that game should be one of the best games of the day. We talk about South Lake Duncanville. That game tomorrow should be unreal.
Not to mention the story of the year. You want to talk about the story of the year is the Halton Buffaloes to me.
Oh, sure.
I mean, undefeated.
Black,
and
Michael Black's a favorite here.
Michael Black, 4 touchdowns last week. I don't know if you guys heard, but I heard that his mother passed out during the game and had to be attended to by the medical staff. He didn't know about it till afterward. I mean, so she's okay. But, I mean, just all this stuff going on. But now they're playing this game against Tascosa, who's upset, and it's just like, at what point is it not an upset anymore?
Yeah.
And they're playing in Lubbock, and it's going to be pouring down rain from what we're hearing.
Maybe
Kickoff
some
at
snow.
3:30. I was going to say. I mean, it's all. I mean, literally, they're not sending their cheerleaders and band to the game because they're worried about traveling condition. Haltom's this year, so this weekend. So they're going and they're headed out there. What a story, man! I mean, who had them even going to the playoffs before the season started?
No one.
And then to go undefeated.
In
playing
that
the way they
district
are.
as well.
I know. The
Trinity
district of
and other
doom.
teams,
Here they are. And now they have an opportunity to advance to the state semifinals. That to me is maybe the story of the year, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. I mean, who sees that? It's why high school football is so great.
Man, you're
You
just
can't
as
see it coming.
excited as we are, man.
Oh, no. Pat,
It's the real
Man,
deal.
I share.
Yeah,
I love it.
That'll
bring the smoke. No
That's
doubt
it.
about it.
Call him positive.
That's
Pat
right.
Doney.
You got it.
Pat, okay, I want to get back to that Southlake game really quick because the winner of that game, obviously, more than likely, is going to take on Allen.
Sure.
I love how you looked at
You're
me.
skipping over Waco Midway.
Waco
How
Midway.
disrespectful.
He's an alum of Waco
Yeah,
Midway,
I see how that goes.
Sorry for your loss in advance.
Yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
right.
it.
Just prepare.
Which, out of Duncanville and Southlake, who do you think would give Allen more of a run for their money?
Oh man, in that situation, probably
Come on, Pat.
probably
Come on.
Duncanville. Probably Duncanville, just because of the defense.
Yeah.
But I think they're both. I think they're both are going to compete with Allen. I mean, Allen last week against the Woodlands, that was not.
Easy.
They didn't roll him. And the way
Rockwall, same thing.
Right. I have to say about your alma mater, Midway.
Thank you.
What a turnaround for them.
Yes.
I mean, we were at the Cotton Bowl when they played Mansfield Lake Ridge the second
down
week of the
10-0
season.
early.
It was 10-0 and it started raining and the coach is like, "We're out. We'll go ahead and just call this a draw." And I don't blame them. They were getting rolled. I mean, it looked like it was going to be 40-0 in that game. It was not close. And then for them to turn things around, and they were down 24-0, I think, at halftime last week.
Yep.
And they came back and won the game. I mean, that's an amazing turnaround for them. I still don't think they have a chance against Allen, though. I mean, Tisdale,
Fair point.
Theo Weiss. I mean, these guys, they're so loaded. Yeah. You ask me who gives them a better game. I mean, I think Southlake Carroll could control the clock, which might be a key, to go to your Dallas Cowboys route. That's worked for them so well.
Sure.
And so running the ball with McDaniel might work. But Duncanville's defense is so good that I think it's tough for anybody to move the ball, and it's going to take a 13-10 type win, which Allen's probably not used to. So, I think Duncanville might be a tougher matchup for Allen, but I think either of those two teams can beat Allen, though I'm going to pick Allen in that game. Probably.
Gotcha.
I got to ask you, in all the years you've been watching football, have you seen the weather play a significant impact on games as this year in DFW?
Miserable. I mean, it's just been absolute. We counted it up. This was the 9th big game Friday in 2018 on NBC5 that was impacted by weather.
Wow.
That we were going to go to Aledo Reedy tonight, which is also a great game. We didn't get a chance to get into
Unbelievable
yet.
game.
Can't wait for that one tomorrow. And they had to postpone it to Saturday or push it because of the weather. And so it's every single week, it's felt like. And we were going to be out in the rain again this week. And so, they canceled that one. So we were forced to come inside at Ford Center at the Star.
I'm so sorry, man.
You got to do what you got to do, right? And give the Glen Rose Tigers some love. But, it's been brutal. And I've talked to coaches around DFW who have been coaching for 25, 30 years. They can't remember anything like this before. I mean, it's been more rainy games than not rainy games. It's like we're living in Washington, in Seattle. I don't know what is going on. It has definitely been different, no doubt.
It sure has been a ton of fun, despite the rain and despite everything going on throughout Texas high school football. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
6A Division I. Who is your state champion?
Yeah, I'm still picking Allen.
Still going to go with
they
Allen?
were my preseason pick.
Okay.
And even though I absolutely think they could lose next week to either Duncanville or Southlake Carroll, I still think that they're just too deep. And Tisdale is better than I even thought he was. He was good last year as a junior. He's better than I thought he was as a senior. Ole Miss is getting a stud there.
Yeah.
And Theo Weiss might be the best player in the state. I mean, his ability to be double covered and still come down with footballs on jump balls over and over and over again. And then the Selden Manning kid, the running back, I didn't know anything about him. And the next thing you know, he's breaking off 40, 50, 60-yard touchdown runs, it feels like every week. I'm calling his name on our Inside High School Sports show every single week with some 45-yard touchdown run. So I'm picking Allen to win it. But again, I think that game next week is going to be a classic after we have this classic tomorrow between Southlake Carroll and Duncanville.
Should be a whole lot of fun. Pat Doney, NBC5. You can find him on Twitter at Pat Doney, NBC5. It's
convenient.
His
There
Twitter
you go. Right.
handle. I like it. I like how
Pat
you
Doney.
put that one
That's
there.
it.
But thanks so much for joining us here on Whateburger Friday
thank
Night
you.
Stars.
Thank you, guys.
Previewing
Pat.
everything in the North Texas area. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about those matchups, go in depth, and maybe we'll shout Pat Doney out a little bit more later tonight because of some of the things that he said and some of the stat lines that he said. When we come back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Enjoyed it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was all.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
You want to bring the heat? Prove it. With carbs to help fuel muscles. And electrolytes to help replace what you lose in sweat. Studied, tested, proven. Nothing beats Gatorade.
On a Forbidden Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Ramon, we can't.
But Julia,
We're rivals.
I can love you and still hate your overrated school.
We have 2 different defensive philosophies. You're a base 4-3 cover 2, and I'm an
aggressive 3-4 with press coverage. I get it, but we both love Dr. Pepper.
Oh, Ramon.
Touchdown, State!
Yes! In your face!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called Fan Tag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. Fan Tag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the Fan Tag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try Fan Tag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
A look inside the Cowboys locker room just down the hallway here at the Star in Frisco, home to the Dallas Cowboys headquarters in the NFC East. Leaders going into Sunday's matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles, returning back to Arlington. I'm sure there's been a lot of, activity around the Frisco Star, a little bit more so this week with a little bit more buzz around this team, that defensive performance against the New Orleans Saints. Of course, we've had a show between now and then already, but it's worth mentioning so far. But glad
always
you're with
worth
us.
mentioning.
Always worth mentioning.
First place Dallas Cowboys, baby.
Whataburger Friday Night Stars. It's incredible to hear that. It just rolls off the tongue.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
It definitely does. A special thanks to Pat Doney for stopping by from NBC5. You can follow him at Pat Doney NBC5, Doney. He was outstanding, talking some Texas high school football with us. And I teased this a little bit earlier. We also teased it on the social media as well. But we were originally supposed to have Coach Terry Gamble in studio, the head coach of the Allen Eagles, the number 1 ranked Allen Eagles. Well, he unfortunately had a family emergency, so we wanted to let him know and his family that our thoughts and prayers are with the Gamble family as we talk about it. Faith, family, football. It's a common saying, and there's a big reason why in that common saying that faith and family come first before football. And so hopefully everything's okay there, and we definitely want to wish him and his family the best. But with that being said, we've got a lot of football to talk about. So we're going to bring that mood back up after a little bit there. But really an overall slate of football games to get into that we talked with Pat with. And I don't know about you guys, but I was almost shaking with excitement just because the energy was there.
I thought it was
there.
how good he looked in that suit.
That might be what it was.
Man, I feel like we might need to get some Bob Lee promotion suits.
I couldn't stop shaking.
I mean, look,
Let's
these polos are amazing. The pullovers are great that Hek'ma and Eric have on, and thank you, Bob Lee Promotions. But man,
did you see
that
Pat?
was looking dapper.
Did you see
that
Pat
was looking incredible.
Goodness me,
absolutely incredible. He put us all to shame, but that's not really hard to do. I mean, look at us.
But I mean, not for Hek'ma and myself and Eric. For you, it's a different story.
Whoa, easy. Watch it. Okay, let's get into some Texas high school football before we start throwing hands over here. But starting with 6A Division I, and we'll go to Region 1 to start things out. And this, by far, has to be the best game of the weekend, at least on my slate. There are a lot of good games, but I don't know if it gets any bigger than Southlake Carroll and Duncanville. I mentioned this earlier, 12-0 Duncanville, 13-0 Southlake Carroll. And you saw how they got there. Well, now look at the comparisons. And that Duncanville defense has been absolutely dominant, special, whatever you want to call it, whatever adjective you want to throw out there.
Historical.
It's right. It has been historical as well. But on the other side, Southlake Carroll, my goodness, they've got the running attack to get the job done and to try and pull the quote-unquote upset. I don't even know if you can really call this.
You better call it an upset.
No, Hek'ma, I don't think so.
You better call it an upset.
You can put your love for Duncanville aside here and say that these are two evenly matched teams.
No, he cannot.
I mean, we'll do a prediction later. Even if you're going with Duncanville, these are two teams that are very evenly matched, and both coming off, in my opinion, very impressive wins with the way that Southlake Carroll took control over Trinity and Duncanville to shut down that.
Now,
Lamar
I know,
offense,
listen, this is what I know about you millennials. Y'all like analytics, right? Y'all like analytics.
Sure. Analytics are great.
I actually hate them.
Okay, well, this is the one I'm going to go to. I think you'll love this. 4.4 points allowed.
Okay.
That's a good one.
I start my argument right there. Now, what else are we going to say about Southlake Carroll? Now, the only thing I got to say about this is that TJ McDaniel scares me.
Yes. As he should.
Yeah. He scares me. TJ McDaniel, if TJ McDaniel is still running like TJ McDaniel in the third quarter with 4 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock, that scares me.
You want to know how much TJ McDaniel's averaging on the ground so far this postseason?
I've been dying to know.
Talk to him.
197 yards a game in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's got 89 carries, 591 yards, and 9 touchdowns.
197 yards a game. This man is balling.
197 yards a game.
In the playoffs, yeah.
And 9 touchdowns in the 3 playoff games alone.
Saturday he won't have 50 yards.
Woo! Wow, you're putting in the call.
On the ground?
That's
he
huge.
won't have 50. He won't have 50 yards. Where else are they going to go? They're not going to hand TJ McDaniel the ball?
Well, Will Bowers.
Will Bowers is very capable.
He can do some things on the ground.
R.J. Mickens, dual. I mean, it's not like Southlake Carroll doesn't have talent, but no doubt the key for Duncanville will be to try and shut down T.J. McDaniel
for sure.
And they certainly have a who's who on that defensive side of the football.
Chuck, what the Panthers are going to do is take Marcus Beeson and they're going to put him on their best man, and the other 10 guys are going to go hunt. Okay? That's it.
So does that mean he's going on TJ McDaniel, or is he going on RJ Mickens?
He's going to go on R.J. Mickens. He's going to go with your receiver. I think your defensive line, your front five, your linebackers, everybody else you can designate for the run. Everybody. What other athlete do they have at the wide receiver position? That's what I'm looking at. And so we're talking about scheme, and I'm telling you in this game, Duncanville, 4.4 yards allowed. I rest my case.
Points.
I mean, that's it.
Well, listen to this stat. And this is something that I saw this on Sports Day earlier this week, so it's a very commonly passed around stat so far.
Do you think it's better than Hek'ma's 4.4?
It might be.
I think it's going to be better.
It makes it even up a little bit. 2 times this year, TJ McDaniels has rushed for over 241 yards in a single game. So twice this year, he's had over 241 yards in a game. Duncanville all season long has given up 241 yards defensively on the ground.
And that's why I say that.
That's 20.1 yards per game given up defensively on the ground.
Oh, man.
You talk about historic. You talk about being able to hold a guy like that to 50 yards, like you said, like you made that call. Like
I did.
I don't think that's too out of the ordinary. And that's why I think I'm going to pick Duncanville in this game when we do our predictions later.
Spoiler
I just
alert.
think that defense is too strong. I really do.
They've allowed 53 points all year long.
Do the math.
Unbelievable.
And to me, it's not, you can, Marquez Beeson, without a doubt, maybe the best, other than Brian Williams, defensive back in the state. But Stacey Brown along that defensive line.
Come on.
That's the man that TJ McDaniel needs to worry about. Meeting Stacey Brown, who, in my opinion, name a better defensive lineman this year in the DFW. I don't think you're going to find one.
6'4", 250, grown man.
He's a stud. So the offensive line of Southlake Carroll certainly has a challenge on their hands, no doubt about it. But the Southlake Carroll defense, and Eric brought this up when we were talking with Pat, they've only allowed 17 points. They only allowed 7 points to a Euless Trinity team that's also big, physical, nasty up front, the same way that Duncanville wants to play. And they out-physical Trinity. And that's a game plan that a lot of teams will come into, especially in November and December come playoff time. They can say they want to do it. Doing it's a different thing. Southlake Carroll did it. I think who they beat, the way they beat them last week, makes this game, to me, a lot closer than it would have been 2 weeks ago when you look at the body of work that Southlake Carroll's put out there so far in this playoff run. And really, Duncanville, outside of last week's game against Arlington Lamar, they have not really been challenged this year at all.
But can we agree that Duncanville is not Euless Trinity?
Yes,
completely.
Their defense is the best in 6A football. No doubt about it. Southlake Carroll hadn't seen a defense this athletic and this physical yet this season, no doubt.
You also got to look at the offense as well, though, for Duncanville. They've got that's what's lost in this. The defense has been so good. You look at the offensive side; they still put up 52 points per game. They still have a guy. There's a guy who I haven't even said his name all year long, and Tristan Smith, the running back for Duncanville. He has 18 rushing touchdowns.
You still haven't said Jaquindon Jackson.
I know. Well, Jaquindon Jackson, we've talked plenty about. We've talked about Jackson all year long. He's incredible. We've talked about him basically every show. We haven't even mentioned Tristan Smith. He's forgotten in the luster of that defense and the luster of Jaquindon Jackson.
Great player.
That's kind of like how Pat is with Theo Weiss and Tisdale.
Yeah.
The running back gets lost in the shuffle because you have so many dynamic players. Yeah. Look, they got ballers. Like you said, it's the who's who of D1 players on both of those teams. You tell me to put my fandom for Duncanville down. TJ McDaniel, I said it, he worries me because he is the kind of running back. He runs the same way in the first quarter that he does on his last carry.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And let's look at real quickly how they got there,
yes.
how Southlake and how Duncanville have gotten to this point, because Southlake's had a gauntlet of games to run through. Started with Coppell, who they dismantled 54-10 at Southlake that first week, and then you had DeSoto and then Trinity. Now you face Duncanville. And now Duncanville's not nearly had as much of a challenge. You can look at the scores. But even with that being said, South Grand Prairie is not a bad program.
Inept offense.
Not a bad program.
Inept offense.
What about Arlington Lamar?
Great offense.
Fantastic.
6 points.
And they didn't, look, they've got 6 shutouts of the year, and that's what I'm saying. Last week's game against Lamar defensively, that was it for Duncanville. They came out and put the clamp on. So in this game for me, yes, we're circling TJ McDaniel, But I think if Southlake Carroll's going to have any success, it's going to have to be Will Bowers, and he's done a great job of not turning the football over.
Yep.
He's got an 18-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and utilizing that play action to Will Bowers' legs, that's something that Duncanville is going to have to contain. Because, a lot like we talked about in that matchup last week with South Oak Cliff and Aledo, South Oak Cliff has a tendency to get upfield and over-pursue. If Duncanville does that, Will Bowers can go ahead and cheat out that backside. They've got to pay attention to the legs of Will Bowers in this football
And if there's an offensive coach that I think can find a weakness, which, I mean, you got to pull out all the magnifying glasses to find a weakness on this Duncanville defense. But if there is a coach that would do that, I honestly think it is Riley Dodge.
And if there's a team that's led by Riley Dodge that can beat a Duncanville team, we talked about the gauntlet that you see there up at the top of the screen with Coppell, DeSoto, Trinity. Now you play Duncanville. If they end up taking care of Duncanville, who's been a historic team all year, then you play Allen, who's the number one team in the country. And then if you win that game, somehow Southlake would play either North Shore, Converse Judson, Lake Travis, or Cy-Fair. How about naming a harder route to the state championship trophy than having those 6 games to play and those 6 teams to beat? Southlake, they have to do it. If they're going to win a state championship, they can't be scared of Duncanville because then they've got Allen waiting.
No, and they
can't be scared of.
But I will say the winner of this football game should have a lot of confidence going into that game next week.
Very true.
Allen.
That's very true.
If they can get by Midway, of course.
Well, let's look at that game. Allen and Waco Midway. This being played down in Waco at Waco McLean Stadium on the campus of Baylor University. And, man, this is an intriguing game. Of course, we were going to have Coach Terry Gamble in studio with us. Unfortunately, that did not work out. Maybe next week if Allen does move on. With that being said, he was the former head coach at Waco Midway prior to his stop at Allen. So he's got a lot of familiarity with that Waco Midway program. Also, not to mention the senior class of the Panthers right now was freshmen underneath Coach Terry Gamble. So he knows that class. He knows those guys there. And this is not a Waco Midway team that you can look at and kind of put away. And I'm not saying that just because they're my alma mater. This is a team that's won 11 straight games. Pat mentioned it earlier. Ever since that 10-0 rain out against Mansfield Lake Ridge, they've put up 11 straight against teams like Belton, Temple, other big-time teams like that. And then they've also got a guy named James Fulbright. Yeah. And I've talked about him before. He's 1 touchdown away from breaking the school record that was held by Hek'ma.
Who?
Kansas State's John Hubert.
I thought you were about to say you. I was like, no way.
I wasn't a running back. Oh, my goodness.
He had 63 career touchdowns. Come on.
But no, and this is also a team that we talked about who last week came back from a 24-0 deficit at halftime. They ended up winning that game 28-27 against Klein Oak, a team that dismantled Saxe a couple weeks ago, and we'll see some highlights like this one from Saxe, a team that really we thought defensively had all they needed to take care of Waco Midway. Well, that wasn't the case, and now you got Allen on the horizon. Is there any chance, and I'm talking any chance right now, for an upset of the Allen Eagles this week?
Look, this is how I feel about football. It's not a sport that you can talk about. You got to get up and you got to do it.
Okay.
And so they definitely have a puncher's chance if Allen takes them for granted. And we have to address it. This is very serious what's going on with the family, and we definitely, our thoughts, prayers, and condolences, are sent to the family about what's going on right now. But at the same time, they are going to have an opponent that is going to be ready, and Waco has a great opportunity to upset Allen. We know the names, no sense in mentioning all of them, but if they are clicking, there's no way that Midway is going to be able to get in the way of it.
And look, Allen last week, they were challenged by the Woodlands, 31-24. They were barely able to, not barely, but they were able to get out of that football game. And this is a Midway team that has shown a lot of fight. I mean, that Klein Oak down 24-0 to come back and rally in that second half. And like Pat was talking about early in the season when they were here to play Lake Ridge, the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
They were a different football team, mainly because of their quarterback. Is it Nick Jimenez?
Jimenez, yes.
He takes over from Mordecai, who goes and graduates and led them to the state championship game last year. A lot of those schools from Waco, La Vega, we'll talk about in a little bit, has a similar situation. They had a quarterback change. So now he's grown throughout the year. He's built confidence. When you've got a running back like James Fulbright, who might be one of the more physical backs that Allen's had to go up against, they certainly have a chance. But they do play the 3-4, which Allen just saw last week against the Woodlands. I just don't think that they'll be able to match up with the talent on that offensive side of the football. And for Allen, the way that they've just been able to wear teams down with the line of scrimmage, I don't know that Midway for 4 quarters can grind it out with Allen.
Well, and they better get off to a fast start. I mean, we know they came back down 24. They're not
can't do that again.
Near that in a game like Allen. I think if you can do it through the air, we saw Rockwall have success through the air. If you have a vaunted passing attack, you can do that. I don't know if Midway's got the guys to do that. Rockwall's got studs across the board. We know that, and they had success. I think if you're going to beat Allen, you got to put pressure on that pass defense of Allen. That's probably the only spot that you could see maybe there's a little bit of a weakness there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And really, we're talking about Jimenez and Fulbright as the strength of this Midway team. That's not necessarily the case. Their defense is the strength.
Their defense is really good.
I think if they've got a chance to beat Allen, yeah, the air attack would help, but I think also slowing down the football game a little bit, running the football with Fulbright, playing defensively, I think that's going to play a huge role, because if you can keep that Allen offense off the field, you have a little bit more of a chance to win that football game, because you won't have Tisdale and you won't have Weiss that you have to deal with. But talking about Allen and talking about the way that they've been so successful throughout their course of their seasons, how about this? 5 state titles since 2008. This is a team that we've talked about before. Well, let's look at how they get there. They've got Rowlett early, took care of them. Rockwall as well. That game was 52-40, not 52-20, so it's a little bit off there, but Rockwall challenged that team late. It was 45-40 late in that fourth quarter, and then the Woodlands last week, that score is pretty indicative of how close that football game was. There was no comeback. There was nothing of the sort. The Woodlands hung in there the whole time, and then we talked about the Saxe and Klein Oak games for Midway, but Allen, over the past 6 regional finals, they've won all 6 of them. 5 of those last 6 regional final wins were by 19 or more points. So not only does history say that Allen has a chance to win this game, they have a chance to win it big. And I think if you're Midway, you got to slow the game down, try and keep that football out of the offense's hands as much as possible. Let's look at 6A Division II, and really it starts with the Haltom Buffaloes. My goodness, we talked about it earlier with Pat Doney. What a story with the Haltom Buffaloes up at the top, beating Hebron last week, and now they get a chance to fight the upset-minded Amarillo-Tascosa team, which also Pat said, when is it an upset anymore? Because Tascosa's been running through teams in the Dallas-Fort Worth area the last 3 weeks. They beat Mansfield-Lake Ridge last week pretty handily, and now they're sitting at 10-3, and they've got a chance to knock off the big dog in the Haltom Buffaloes, but Michael Black has a little bit to say about that one.
Oh, yeah, Michael Black is incredible. Again, this game's going to be in Lubbock, so weather might be an issue. There's been a wintry mix or whatever they call it since last night, and it's supposed to slow down before the game gets going, but the snow, the wind, the rain, the cold, it's going to be a factor in this game. Now, that kind of bodes well for both teams, because we know Haltom can run the ball, especially with Michael Black, incredibly well. And then Tascosa, they want to run the ball. They want to run the ball so bad that last week when they beat Lake Ridge, they didn't throw the ball one single time.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Look at the stat sheet.
Yeah,
they threw the ball 0 times. They scored 43 points. They won the game. They ran for 423 yards on 59 rushes. That was all of their offensive plays. And it's DeAndre Campbell, and then it's Joseph Plunk. And Plunk's their quarterback. He doesn't do too much through the air. Last week, he had 118 yards rushing on 27 carries. And then Campbell, 150 yards, 3 touchdowns. They want to run the ball, absolutely. If the weather's bad, they want to run it even more so. But you look over at Haltom. I mean, my goodness, the best season they've had in school history. Michael Black last week, and he's everything for them. 200 yards through the air, 188 on the ground, 4 rushing touchdowns, and those designed runs. I got a chance to watch that game against Hebron, and Hebron was a great team, a lot of great players. But Michael Black, man, when they need it most, he designed run. It's not even like he drops back and then takes off when you're not expecting it. It's designed. You see it coming. You know it's happening, and we're going, baby.
Yeah, it's a strength for him. It's just crazy, that style of Tascosa, when you look at it and the teams that they've played the last couple of weeks with Arlington and Lake Ridge, which are high-powered offenses, and that run-heavy style, it's just such a clash with these DFW high-powered offenses, because you wouldn't think, like, all right, if they get down at all, how are they going to be able to muster enough firepower to come back with that ground game? But it's so dominant, they've been able to make it work. And against a Haltom team, like you're saying, Eric, with Michael Black, they're a team that, and they fought back from adversity several times this year. They've gotten down and come back. He is just Joe Cool back there, man. They call his number. Michael Black is going to serve it up for you.
48 total touchdowns for Michael Black, 2,500 yards through
MVP
the air,
season,
1,500 yards on the ground, only 2 interceptions. He takes care of the ball. Now, Haltom last week gave up 180 yards on the ground, and against the Hebron team, I honestly think, hey, you actually did a pretty good job, because they do things through the air too. If they can just slow down that Tascosa run game, I think Haltom's in great great shape tomorrow.
Yeah, I got a few guys for Haltom that last week they played lights out. Linebacker Justo Perez and safety Kenyon Shannon. Guys had a great game for Haltom. We do a lot of talking about Michael Black, but it's the defense that's in there really holding it down for them. But it's the dream season that the Buffaloes are having. And it started literally, I believe, if we can point to a moment, it's the Euless Trinity game where everybody was thinking that, okay, you guys are 4-0. Now you're going against Trinity. Now it's going to come to an end. And they rolled on Trinity. And I think everybody at that point, this team is worth looking at. They are actually, and Michael Black is really, 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 really good. Mm-hmm. And so I hope that they win this game. But I know that Tascosa is a throwback school. I love Coach Blanc and what he does. They threw the ball one time last week. I mean, how do you get through a football game throwing the ball one time? They just turn and they hand it off. If it's 3rd and 18, they're running the ball.
Yeah.
So,
and Haltom ran for 300 yards last week. So, I mean, both of these teams can run the ball really well. Advantage on the passing attack to Haltom, but you wonder how much the weather is going to slow that down. This is probably going to be one of those slugfest, just run the ball, play defense, and take care of the ball. Haltom's proven they can not only take care of the ball, but they force turnovers. They forced 2 last week against Hebron. They can do that. Like those guys you mentioned, those guys force turnovers. This is a fun season for Haltom. I'm picking them in this game just really because of Michael Black. I think he's the better quarterback, and he can just do it in so many ways.
And you talk about two teams that are battle tested. How about Haltom having to go through Hebron last week, having to go through Midland Lee, who was in the same district to 6A as Tascosa, and then also you had the Bowie game earlier in the year in the first round where Haltom squeaked past. 6-point win against Arlington Bowie, a team that I know, Zach, you were very high on early in the season, and a team that kind of struggled throughout, but still a tough game and a game that they needed Michael Black to pull that one out.
Yeah, they had to fight back.
They really did. And you move on from that. And now you look at Tascosa on the other side. This is a team that won that district that also had Midland Lee. And Midland Lee, 42-27. It wasn't a close game, but it was also a very physical game that Haltom definitely talked about later and said, hey, we had a little bit of trouble early on. And as we look at how they got there, Tascosa is the same thing. Pebble Hills, Arlington, Mansfield, Lake Ridge, you have to say that Tascosa's had the tougher route throughout their regional so far just because of having to face Jahari Rogers and the Arlington Colts, having to face Lake Ridge and what they've been able to do this season despite some injury concerns. I think either one of these teams could go into this game confident in what they have been through already in the postseason and what they're able to do if they come up against each other. That game being tomorrow at 3 p.m. So let's go from there into Region 2 at the 6A Division 2 level. Longview and Vandergrift, of course, last week, Longview moving on, and then Spring Westfield knocking off the magical season of Mesquite Horn, or I guess magical last couple weeks of the season for Mesquite Horn because they started 0-7, then won 6 straight to get to the regional semifinals before their Cinderella shoe didn't fit anymore. But a quick look at this game, looking at Longview, this is a team that is big, they're physical, they're athletic, and my dad, he works down in Waco with McLean Stadium, and he does some security for them down there, and he's a big football guy, loves high school football, and we talk about it on a weekly basis. He goes, man, I've never seen a team like Longview and the Lobos, as physical as they are. They walk down on the field and they demand respect and intimidation, and that's what you're going to get from Longview as they get ready to face the Spring Westfield Mustangs. You can't really look at the Mustangs though and see 12-1 and say, hey, they're out of this game right now.
No, not at all. And I've said it. I think Longview is the best team in 6A Division 2. I'd love to see them get to take on, if it's Allen that moves on from 6A Division 1, if they had a clash of the 6A state champs.
Oh, that would be gold.
That'd be great.
That would be gold.
But I know Hek'ma, you've had your eye on the Spring Westfield team, and the way that they came out and dominated last week against Mesquite Horn was not a shocker, because you talk about the physicality of Longview. They got some size, they've got some strength, and they play some physical football over there with Spring Westfield as well.
Yeah, Spring Westfield is going to do what they've been doing, and that's out-bully the bully. And they have an opponent in Longview that is going to be up to task. This is one of those heavyweight matchups right now.
Yeah.
In Division 2 6A. And the odds makers couldn't have picked it better for these two teams to meet up, because I'm telling you, it's going to be a slugfest.
Yeah, and the thing about Longview, I think that the stat that jumps out to me with them amongst a ton of them, they have so many great players, Haynes King, all these guys, 65% complete or conversion on third down. These guys on third down are incredible. They keep drives moving, not only because of their quarterback, Haynes King, but they can run the stinking football with Keelan Williams and Jesse Anderson, who is just an absolute bowling ball. You talk about a physical guy. Holy smokes.
He's the one.
A guy you want to tackle. That is not a guy you want. And then Keelan Williams, he's small. It's complete opposite. 5'5", 150 pounds, scat back, who can just run all over you as well. I just think, man, Longview's got so many options offensively because you haven't even gotten to Camden Perry and Haynes King and what they've done this year, which is insane.
All year.
I mean, they're just like you said. If we could get the Allen and Longview matchup, that's I think the matchup of the state.
Yeah.
Oh man!
And they came to the district, and I believe they came to the district this year.
Yeah, they played the DFW realignment.
And Sports Day High School didn't have a lot of stats on them, so the first time we got an opportunity to see them was versus the Orange Jackets, your guys,
my team.
and that was the first time we all kind of said, "Wait a minute." Longview is coming into your stadium and they beating you down.
They're the real deal.
Yeah, they are the real deal, but they got to match up.
This is a really fun bracket overall, looking at 6A Division II, and you look at some of the teams that Longview's had to go through Coppice Cove. Of course, we had that matchup that was here at the Star with Prosper, where we thought Prosper had a chance. Guys, they didn't have a chance, unfortunately. And then Cy Ranch, Mesquite Horn kind of highlight the teams that Spring Westfield has gone through. But let's look at 6A Division II as a whole. And you've got Haltom and Tascosa up at the top, Longview, Spring Westfield, and also down at the bottom, a couple teams that we haven't talked about but definitely deserve to be talked about for sure, Westbrook and Westlake. And then you've also got Northside there as well. But any teams here stick out to you as a clear favorite out of the Elite Eight and the 6A Division II regional finals this week, guys?
I think you look at Longview, no doubt about it. A potential Longview-Holtham game, that is very enticing. And then down there in Region 4 with Westlake and Brandeis. Brandeis is having an excellent year, and Austin Westlake is perennial. No matter what sport it is, they always put out a good team.
I think you look at Westlake. If I'm looking at this, I see Westlake, Cypress Creek, Haltom, and Longview potentially being that Final Four. And Westbrook definitely has a chance out of Beaumont to get something done there. But the fact that Haltom has a chance to go to a state semifinal this year is absolutely unbelievable. And the fact that not only do they have a chance to go, but they would have to go up against Longview. But I wouldn't necessarily call Haltom that big of an underdog against Longview in this division. So it should be a whole lot of fun to watch in terms of going through into the rest of the finals. Now, as we get ready to go to break, we've got one game going on throughout the entire area, or North Texas area, that we've been really keeping our eye on. How about Waco La Vega and Argyle? And we've got Jackson Donovan and Adrian Jagish out at Midlothian in a cold, rainy Midlothian ISD Stadium, and they've got a little bit of a halftime report that we'll get to here real quickly.
Right here, and it's halftime right now. La Vega's leading the game 17-0. Jackson's been an exciting game. It's been a wild game. It's been a cold game. Any thoughts?
Weather has definitely been an issue. You can see the breath coming out of the players from the stands. We're up in the viewing box. It's cold. The rain has come down harder the farther we go. It's a little cold. I'm having problems talking. But this game has been all La Vega. Their defense has been stifling through this one. 3 turnovers in the first half. It was a slow second quarter. La Vega scored to start the second quarter, making it 17-0. But other than that, not much has happened. Both teams have slowed down. And so we'll have to look and see if the offense actually comes to play again in the second half.
So right now, I think the player of the night on the La Vega side is number 17, senior running back John Richards. I know he's responsible for 2 touchdowns. What else do you think?
He has been an absolute workhorse. They're giving him the ball probably about 80% of the time. They only have 1 pass attempt, and it was incomplete. All their offense has come from rushing. Whereas on the flip side, look at Argyle. They're trying to air it out the whole time. I understand that is their team's identity, but when it's wet and it's cold and you're having problems with the center and the quarterback, you have to be able to put the ball on the ground. La Vega has done that, and that is why they're winning this game right now. And John Richards has been the #1 key to their success.
So, you guys, as I said earlier, it's been a wild game. It's been a cold game. Like I always say, while it's cold outside, the energy in the stadium is piping hot. I cannot wait to see what happens in the next half. So stay tuned, because Jax and I are live tweeting the game, and we'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
Nothing works up my thirst for an ice-cold Pepsi Cola like getting buckets. Whether I'm breaking ankles or breaking hearts.
Hey, Drew.
It always brings the refreshment, and I've been drinking it a long time.
Drew, how old are you anyway, man?
doesn't matter. Uncle Drew, in theaters, June 29th. The future tastes good.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called Fan Tag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. Fan Tag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the Fan Tag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try Fan Tag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
You want to bring the heat? Prove it. With carbs to help fuel muscles. And electrolytes to help replace what you lose in sweat. Studied, tested, proven. Nothing beats Gatorade.
On a forbidden Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Ramon, we can't.
But Julia,
We're rivals.
I can love you and still hate your overrated school.
We have 2 different defensive philosophies. You're a base 4-3 cover 2, and I'm an
aggressive 3-4 with press coverage. I get it, but we both love Dr. Pepper.
Oh, Ramon.
Touchdown, State!
Yes! In your face!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Oh, what a scene inside the Star in Frisco, the quote-unquote atrium at the Star, home to the Dallas Cowboys offices. You see those up above. That's just upstairs. It's a little bit prettier than what's going on in here, but it's not nearly as exciting with Texas high school football going on. Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Glad you're with us here for hour number 2, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Vimeo. Glad you're with us. Presented by Game On Sports. And, man, it's been a fun week so far. We had Pat Doney in studio earlier, so if you haven't, you can press rewind. Oh, man, I can't talk. And look
really
at that.
In here.
It is indeed. But overall, it's been fun to talk about some of the 6A matchups, and then we've also got some 5A matchups to get into as well. But before that, let's look at a game that's going on at the moment.
Live football.
Not a ton of it so far tonight. We'll take a look inside the Ford Center later. Actually, let's take a look inside the Ford Center right now.
What's the game we're talking about?
This is Pittsburgh and Pleasant Grove. Both teams a little bit outside of our area. Pleasant Grove, however, the defending 4A Division II state champions, a little bit on the ropes here in the second quarter, trailing 14-0. There's Pleasant Grove right there, and it's been a fun game to watch so far, just kind of off into the side, but they're struggling to get the ball moving on that Pleasant Grove side, and they and finally getting it moving a little bit there on that run. But one of the other games we're looking at was also inside 4A, and that's Argyle and Waco La Vega. Oh, my goodness. That has been a fun game so far, a rainy game so far inside Midlothian ISD Stadium, and this is right now.
I love that jersey clash right there. Look at those colors.
Oh, you like it?
Big boy is
like
moving.
Yeah, that kid's really good.
Moving.
Yeah, John Richards. John Richards is a beast. And this is a rematch game. We've got a few rematch games coming up here in this regional final. This is one as well. La Vega and Argyle played in week 2. Argyle got the victory in that one, 31-29. They had to come from behind. They were down 11 points. They rallied. Bo Hogaboom started terribly in this game. Guys, she started 0 for 14. Really got it going in the fourth quarter. Was able to hit Alex Gonzalez with a 20.
Richards, man. This dude is, look.
Yeah, he's a beast. Jalen Richards is the real deal.
He is
and that's what La Vega's going to do, man. They want to be able to just pound and run the football, and they're doing it to have success right now. And this game started eerily similar to that week 2 game. La Vega got all over Argyle early in this one. Currently lead at 24-14. Bo Hogaboom started terribly. I think he was 5 of 22 to start this game. Just threw a touchdown pass, but Argyle, they've turned the ball over. You know, Tito Bice has put the ball on the ground twice. Bo Hogaboom has thrown an interception as well. So the turnovers early in this one against a very good Waco La Vega team led by Jalen Richards and Mr. Rawls at quarterback. Now, Rawls last week had 3 touchdowns in their 38-20 win over Paris, and he's taken over for Jamal Williams, who was a stud quarterback for La Vega. A lot of tradition and a lot of history between both of these teams.
Yeah.
For Argyle, they haven't been past this regional final since 2015 when they went to the state championship, and who was waiting for them there? Waco La Vega. And La Vega won that game in the state championship the last time La Vega was in the state title game. So a lot to dissect here.
And you mentioned Rawls taking over at the quarterback position for Williams. That's not a typo on that graphic. They have not completed a pass this entire ball game. 0 for 3 passing.
What is this, Amarillo Tascosa?
You're exactly right.
Goodness.
They have not completed a pass, and yet they lead it over one of the deadliest offenses, deadliest teams in the entire Texas ranks in Argyle, and just a legendary team. And like you said, it did start off eerily similar to the first matchup between these two teams because Waco La Vega led this one 17-0 at halftime, but 14 points here in the third quarter. As that quarter comes to an end, Argyle trying to make a little bit of a comeback here.
I tell you what, they haven't had to throw the ball because of John Rawls.
Yeah.
I mean, John Richards has been running it from we saw.
And Richards did not play. He did not play in the first game.
Well, that's why last week when we were on the show, I mean, the kids from La Vega were basically saying to Argyle, we want you guys.
Yeah.
And they know what they had up their sleeve. They knew what they had up their sleeve. They knew they were going to bring a running game that they didn't display last time they met. So they were planning to unveil the bazooka today.
Argyle showed up tonight thinking, wait, this isn't fair. This guy didn't play last time. What is going on?
Who is this guy?
Here?
Is he even an eligible player?
He looks like Maurice Jones-Drew.
What in the world?
And the way they're slowing down Tito Bice and that running game, only 54 yards in that first half there, that to me, besides even the running game for them, the fact that their rush defense has been so good.
And they held Bice to just 81 yards in that first game as well, so they've been able to corral that rushing attack of Argyle. It really is going to come down to the arm of Bo Hogeboom, and I think they knew that coming in, but late in that fourth quarter, he dominated the first meeting, and he seems like he's starting to gain some traction now in this second one. Keep in mind, last week, it seemed like Argyle was left for dead against Salina. They came all the way back in that game to get a 26-22 win, and they said, those players and coaches, they channeled what happened to them in that Week 2 game against La Vega, being down, knowing, hey, we can do that. They use that as motivation to come back and beat Salina. They're going to have to do it again tonight against a good La Vega.
Yeah, so they retitled it Hugaboom time. Instead of Salina time, it's Hugaboom time.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought they were calling him Bounce Back Bo.
Is that what it is?
I like that. Bounce Back Bo.
Did you just come
That's
up
got a
with
good
That
word
may
to
or
it.
may not be an original.
Oh.
Yep. No, that is. Absolutely.
Oh, it is?
I wrote it down. See that?
Bounce Back Bo.
Bounce Back
He did
Bo.
actually write it.
Bounce
I wrote
Back
it
Bo
down.
on the original.
Well done.
that.
All
I
right.
like
Well,
that.
you've got it there, but
Often imitated, never duplicated.
you're exactly right. But 24-14 is that score.
I like he said, I wrote it down.
That's how you know it's true.
That's how you know it's real.
I'm a fact check that.
I wrote it down.
Oh, man. Well, that's the score. 24-14 heading into the fourth quarter. We'll definitely keep you updated on that one as it's a two-possession game. But with that being said, let's go from there into some more of that 4A district, or 4A, I guess, ranks. Let's look at really what has gone on, because they've already know who they're playing in that next round matchup, and that is another team from North Texas.
Oh, we got to give them some love, Kyle.
How about the Decatur Eagles over Hereford last night? And oh my goodness, 38-28. This was a Decatur team that was 6-6 at one point.
They were 4-6.
They were 4-6.
4-6. My God, they made the fourth and final district spot to make it into the playoffs, and they are playing some of the best football. They've got a running back. He's a junior, another underclassman.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're all fans of names here. Gunner Ragsdale.
Oh, that's my man.
Oh, that's fantastic. He's a running back?
He's a running back.
You're dang
Gunner
right he is.
Ragsdale, 3 rushing touchdowns in that win over Hereford. And the run that they've gone on has been outstanding. They knocked off a district champion in Dumas in the by-district round. Last week they beat Andrich. They beat Hershey. My Hershey Huskies, a team that I thought they could have made a run to state. They knocked them off in the third round, and then a big win over Hereford. So congratulations to Decatur. They have done an outstanding job this year. Their first state semifinal appearance since 1988. They deserve a round of applause.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're going to get a heck of a test next week, whether it's Argyle or La Vega, but credit Decatur. I'm glad we had some chances here to show them the love they deserve.
They definitely do. We've kind of snubbed them a little bit. We've mentioned them along the way whenever they beat Hershey and whenever they moved on with the win earlier in the playoffs. But, man, last night was special, and they didn't even leave any room to work with. It was not really a close football game from the beginning. And then you look at the bottom, you've got Carthage. Carthage with a huge win last week, a controversial win.
I still can't believe
My
that
squad.
game last week.
Guys, we have to get instant replay. We have to get it in the playoffs.
Man.
It's got to be a thing. There was no reason for Midlothian Heritage to have lost that game. If there's instant replay, it's clear, it's obvious. That touchdown for Carthage to send it into overtime would not have counted. We've got to correct that. These games in the playoffs in Texas are far too close. These kids, these coaches, these parents, these bands, they're all putting way too much into it to have it robbed by one official who doesn't get a call right.
Can I have my soapbox back?
Please, take it away.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are you
do
going to move?
anything with
Are you
it,
going to move the mic or?
No, no.
Just gonna stand
I
on the
like that
soapbox?
though. I like that.
Well, I
how
liked what you did last week. Yeah, last week was good.
I was like, well, look at you, Wolchuk.
So are you not going to go on a soapbox?
No, absolutely
He just
not. He
wanted
took
it back.
it. I just he.
Oh, no,
took
no,
it.
take
wanted it back.
It's all good.
Oh, okay.
It's all good.
Just rephrase it in better wording.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, do you agree? I mean, we need it.
Absolutely.
We need it.
That was it. Look, last week, and you guys told me, hey, man, you can't be in the studio watching because I was in the game last week. That was such a good game. But I could not, like you said, there has to be some type of instant replay because even us sitting here in the studio from where we were like, that's not a touchdown. And they said it was a touchdown. And the kids have got to be sick about losing that game. But look, people make mistakes. Either way, guys, you played a heck of a season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're exactly right. And either way, Midlothian Heritage, they had a chance to win that game.
Yes, they did.
Carthage is a defending state champion.
Carthage is a great football team.
That's
and you're
an
right.
incredible
Midlothian
program.
Heritage had their chance in overtime, and they didn't get it. But it just one play like that is just a prime example for why, especially later rounds when you're playing at the Star, when you're playing at AT&T Stadium, like the state championships will be. There's no excuse. There's no reason why you shouldn't utilize instant replay.
You're exactly right, and I think that's something that we should have asked Pat about that as well and see what he thought about it on his side. But I agree. I think that if you have the capability, then why not use it? And during that game last week, they definitely had the capability. They completely did. But let's look at 4A Division II as a whole, really, as we continue through the ranks right now. And this is a district, of course, we talked about Pleasant Grove and Pittsburgh earlier. We also saw Iowa Park and Glen Rose. Both of those top two games, Region 1 and Region 2, were played at the Star. West Orange Star and Silsbee as well. Cuero down there with Navarro. Geronimo Navarro, one of the best names in all of high school.
Geronimo!
Yes.
Navarro.
You're exactly right.
My God.
Man, if you somehow became the play-by-play announcer for Geronimo Navarro, that needs to be your touchdown call. But anyways, going back to that, Iowa Park and Glen Rose, that was a game earlier that
great
Iowa
football game.
Park pulled out. They scored a touchdown with 8 seconds left to move on and beat Glen Rose. That final score was 31-28, I believe, was that final score. And then Pleasant Grove currently trailing Pittsburgh 14-7 at the Star here in Frisco. And then West Orange starts Silsbee. Cuero and Navarro kind of out of our range a little bit, but definitely a lot to look at throughout 4A Division 2. We'll get to 5A here in just a moment because we're going to spend some extended time on it. Let's look at 3A first real quickly, though, as we look over at Brock. Shallow Water gave them everything they wanted last night, but Brock comes away with a big-time win. They'll face either Atlanta or Malakoff. Atlanta coming out of the Georgia. No, I'm just kidding. But you've also got East Chambers.
We got Pittsburgh. We got Iowa, with something or other.
It's crazy. They finally got it right. We're playing all the country's best in a tournament.
Yoakum and Edna down at the bottom, and also Grandview, who knocked off number 1 Franklin last week in the 3A Division 1 regional semifinals. Franklin with by far the best defense in the entire state at 3A Division 1. Grandview knocked them off last week, and so they have a strong chance to get to the semifinal inside Division 3A or Division 1 of 3A. Let's go to 3A Division 2 as well as we look at this one. This one already basically taken care of, except for Gunter and Holiday. Gunter, a good team that we talked about real early in the season. Canadian moves on with their 19-7 win. You also had Newton.
Jeez, Newton and Gunter. Man. You know, I think that's a matchup a lot of people have been looking at.
Yes.
If Gunter can go ahead, but that Newton-Gunter showdown and a potential state championship, oh my goodness.
Wow. Yeah, that would be incredible. The fact that I even picked Dangerfield to win that game, and I feel dumb.
Because you love Danger.
You were close, man.
I was not close at all.
No, let's celebrate him being incredibly wrong.
I was incredibly wrong.
79-12.
79-12.
Wait a second, you picked Dangerfield?
No way, Kyle.
Oh my gosh. That's something you don't say, man. None of us would have known that you.
Hey, I'm a humble guy.
You know what? We know he's not
just
lying
got
to us.
humbled.
By the way, Gunter is up on Holiday 27-6 in the fourth quarter. They look like they're going to advance. Gunter's an unbelievable squad.
They really are, and they've been that way from the very get-go. Have played through a tough district, and now they'll play Canadian out of District 3, 3A.
Jeez, we even got Canada playing in this.
Yeah, look, it's not just the country's best. We're playing all
Crazy.
of North America.
But how about Dangerfield, guys? I mean, come on. What a season.
Are you going back to that?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Going back to it. Oh,
Really
just
thought they
showing
had a
some
chance.
love. I
man.
know.
thought they had a
tight game.
chance.
You were absolutely.
Could have gone either way.
You were the worst. Okay, well, before we get into 5A, want to tell you that Argyle's in the red zone.
Oh, I like
it. Red zone alert, the Hugaboom alerts.
Oh my
What's that name?
Hugaboom time.
Oh, Bounce Back Bo?
Bounce Back Bo? Is Bounce Back Bo going to do it again?
Has bounced back all the way to his own 6-yard line. Yes. 4th and 25.
Should I trademark that, by the way?
That's when you're probably going to want to punt that, Coach.
Yeah. So Argyle looking to give it back to Waco La Vega with 10.5 minutes left in that fourth quarter. Let's go to 5A real quickly. And let's start talking about this. We're going to probably take a break in the middle of it, but let's start things off with a classic of a game, a district rematch of a game played at the start tomorrow, and that is Denton, Ryan, Birdville.
It's Hek'ma's Birdville Hawks.
You know, have you noticed how quiet I've been about this?
I know you've been very quiet.
Have you seen how quiet?
Because
I haven't said a word. I didn't say anything on Twitter. I had called you. I had texted you nothing.
We talked a lot this week, and you did not bring up Birdville once.
For a reason.
Despite the great story. We know, look, Birdville has an outstanding team this year, and they'll be back next year. We talked about it earlier with Pat. Ladarius Mixon, Stone Earl, that storyline going. They're literally brothers now. It's an incredible story. And Ladarius Mixon on the ground trying to maybe play a little bit of keep away is probably the best case scenario. But you look at this first meeting. I mean, Ryan spotted Birdville 14 points. They got up 14-0. And then Ryan just pulled away. 42 unanswered points in that first meeting. And I just, as good as Birdville is, I don't know how they're going to be able to beat Denton Ryan. 16 defensive touchdowns for Ryan. They shut out Lubbock Coronado last week, a team that had not been shut out in the playoffs ever. I mean, 30-0, they go on the road and take care of Coronado, a good football team. Their defense had a safety, and you bet they had another touchdown. Jatavian Sanders, a 40-yard pick six. They
have another Sanders?
They got another Sanders, man. They got several. But Drew Sanders.
As well. Are they brothers too?
No, they're not brothers.
Okay.
But Drew Sanders, no doubt, still one of the best playmakers on the field. But I think Seth Hennigan, and we talk about it every week, and it seems to just be like this kid's really playing better and better. Completing 70% of his balls, does not turn the football over a lot, is able to just play within the game and get the ball out to his skilled players outside. And when you have Amani Bailey at running back, along with Drew Sanders, if they want to insert him in the football game on offense, they have that kind of stability to fall back on, being able to run the football. So, look, Ryan, if there's a knock on them, they had turnovers last week, 2 turnovers versus Coronado. They had 4 turnovers the week before that in the playoffs. They have shown an unfortunate ability to turn the football over. Maybe Birdville can capitalize off of that, much like they did in the first meeting. But for Birdville, they're going to have to just find a way to really play keep away, utilize that running game with Ladarius Mixon, and he's been the bell cow for them this postseason.
Yeah, this is the coach Holbrook for Birdville has. This is probably as well a coach team in the whole Metroplex. They don't make a whole lot of mistakes. They play behind their pads. Earl is a great quarterback. He doesn't turn the ball over either. Also, Ladarius Mixon is hard-nosed. The problem is that Denton Ryan has Drew Sanders.
No doubt.
And every time you get close, they say, hey, Drew, go get him. And he puts it on ice. It's a problem. I mean, look, the Hennigan brothers, we've looked at them. We've noticed that game by game.
We don't even Ian. It's Seth Hennigan's team.
But we have a lot of love for Ian, though.
Always have love for
Thank
Ian.
you, Chiofalo. That's all I'm trying to do.
It's Seth Hennigan. That's the guy.
And coach
Seth Hennigan.
Dave's a heck of a guy.
Love Dave.
It's the night before the night before. The Hazel
night after night. Saturday, Friday after Friday, right? We've watched the Hennigan brother get better.
Grow
right?
and grow and grow. Absolutely.
All right. And we found that when they get in trouble, what do? Hey, Drew, go get him. Yep. And that's what happens.
Go, big boy.
And he is so much of a difference maker. When we talk about what Michael Black has done for Haltom, you have to look at what Drew Sanders is doing for Denton Ryan because of how dominating he is on defense and how dominating he is on offense. This kid, I don't know what he's going to do at the next level. They say that he's going to play tight end. I can't imagine him playing tight end. He's too much of a difference maker.
Well, Sanders isn't the only one that's been dominating on that Denton Ryan side. Let's look at how they got to this point because they've run through some teams. You mentioned that 30-0 Coronado win that they had last week, but how about 65-24 over the Brewer Bears? Duval had no shot against Denton Ryan, but you look on the other side, and there have been some impressive wins from the Birdville Hawks.
Well, speaking of last week, an overtime game against Grapevine. Ultimately, Darius Mixon gets the game-winning touchdown in overtime, and then Cade Rhodes and company come out.
That's a. And listen, and I tell you what, Cade Rhodes, I gotta say, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, please.
That is a horrible way to lose a game.
Well, explain how they lost for people that don't know.
Yeah, basically, they were in shotgun formation in overtime, and they had was it a fourth? Was it fourth down or was it first down?
I think it was their first play.
May have been their first play.
Their first offensive snap in OT.
And they muffed the snap, and Birdville recovers the snap, and game over.
But how about that for Birdville, though? They got a rematch against a district foe. Now, they had already beaten Grapevine, so it's a different scenario. They're going to try.
It was another close game, though.
Very close game, and it was a close game again. They win that rematch. Now, they wanted Ryan again. They felt like they could have played closer with Ryan, maybe even beat Ryan. Now you get it. We'll see how they do tomorrow. I think it's going to be an outstanding matchup, but for me, I mean, from what we've seen from both these teams on paper, I would be very surprised if Ryan were to drop this game tomorrow to Birdville. I just think they're the better football team.
Yeah, the turnovers are going to be a key, and you mentioned that Ryan is susceptible to turning it over offensively. In Birdville, they get a lot of turnovers. They had 2 last week against Grapevine. I know they had 2 against Grapevine earlier in the season, and they capitalized on that. So that defense has the ability to do that sort of deal, but I agree with you. Ryan would have to really lay an egg tomorrow, I think, to lose this game, and it's unfortunate, but Birdville, great season. Your 2 best players are only juniors, so, I mean, the future's bright as can be for Birdville.
The future's extremely bright, but I don't think Birdville is I don't think they're complacent on the fact that they get a chance to knock off.
Yeah, the future is now for Bird.
You're exactly
for
right.
sure.
I think this is a team that, like Pat said earlier, they're determined to win this football game. They wanted another chance. And really, you look back at that game, the score doesn't look that great. But they were in that game from the very beginning. They led that game 14-0, actually. Birdville over Denton Ryan at Denton Ryan.
Yep.
And so that's a game.
And it was, they had 3 turnovers.
You're exactly right.
Ryan had the ugly start, and then they were able to rebound from that, and then it was really just Birdville's miscues the rest of the way.
You're exactly right. And I think this is a game that you look back if you're Birdville and you say, hey, we let that one slip. Let's not do that again. Let's not figure out a way to lose that football game again, because now if you do it, your season's over. And so you don't really get that chance anymore. But, man, it is going to be a fun one to look at.
Can Ryan get to a 3rd straight state semifinal? And possibly play who, Kyle?
How about the Highland Park Scots?
That is what we call a segue.
You're exactly right. Highland Park and John Tyler also at the Star tomorrow. What a trio of games at the Star tomorrow afternoon, really all day tomorrow. But then you've got Highland Park, John Tyler. Now, the records, you could throw those out the window. We're in playoffs. You're this deep. There are no bad teams anymore. You look at John Tyler in their what have you done for me lately stats have been off the charts with the big-time win last week, 31-13 over Lone Star. The fact that they put up 31 points against that Lone Star defense, already impressive enough. The fact that they slowed them down to 13 points on the other side, even more impressive, if you ask me, because that is a good Lone Star team that we thought was on a collision course to this game at their place at the Fort Center. And then John Tyler just had to go in there and get rid of Lone Star out of the playoffs, and they are able to face the Highland Park Scots now. Highland Park on the other side. We talked about them earlier. Chandler Morris, Prince Dorba, Finn Corwin and company. They are ready to play, and this is going to be a game that is really exciting to talk about, but also it's something that you look forward to for Highland Park. Is this potentially the end of their magical run?
It's possible. I mean, I don't think we were all talking to Miles Dunklin in studio last week and basically previewing a Lone Star Highland Park game. So it's pretty crazy when you look at what John Tyler was able to do against Frisco Lone Star. And guys, I know I've been a broken record about this, but how did Marvin Mims do last week for Lone Star?
Nothing.
0 catches. He was not involved. That's the key for John Tyler during this playoff run. They've gone ahead and looked at who is the X factor on offense for each team. All 3 of their previous matches. It was Mims last week, and then it was Trey Bradford against Lancaster the week before. The problem is when you come into this game against Highland Park, maybe it's Finn Corwin, okay? Well, here's Drew Scott. He's going to step up. Is it Benner Page at running back? And Chandler Morris is a guy who's a dual threat player. So with Highland Park, they're not that team where you can look at it and say, all right, who's the one guy we can look at and try and take him away? Because Highland Park will have a 3rd answer, a 4th answer of how to beat you. So for John Tyler, they're going to have to be able to score some points, whether it's with Roderick Hawkins running the football, Keandre Street at wide receiver. And I know, Eric, you talked about the play of their quarterback, Davian Woods, who's also one of the outstanding dual threat quarterbacks we've got in the area.
Yeah, no, he's incredible, and Keandre Street, the receiver, he's going to Houston. That dude averages 28 yards a catch. I mean, that dude is just a big play guy waiting to happen. Their whole offense, I mean, they run the ball so well, and we talk about Woods and the big playability with Street on the outside, but their rushing attack, you mentioned one of the running backs, Hawkins. Well, Cameron Grant's also a stud as well. He's racked up quite a bit of yards. That whole rushing offense for them, I mean, they're 250 yards a game, no problem. So I think that Highland Park rush defense is going to be absolutely tested off a week where Highland Park really wasn't tested at all from the start of that game. I mean, Highland Park put that game away in 5 minutes. They were up, I blinked, and they were up 17-0.
31 points in the first 8 minutes of that football.
I mean, that was unbelievable what they did.
I don't know that I've ever seen that.
No, it was just...
That's crazy.
It was every time I blinked, Morris was back on the field, and then Morris was in the end zone. It was just constant.
And you mentioned Miles Dunklin earlier in what we've talked to him about. He's actually on the phone right now. Miles, thanks again for joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night.
Miles Dunklin.
There it is. And we've got really a lot to talk about for this John Tyler team, but also Highland Park. You can't overestimate what the Scots are going to be able to do because they've been absolutely unbelievable. But at the same time, how good is this John Tyler team, and how much to a threat do they pose to the Scots?
Well, first of all, what's up, fellas? Always good to be on the line with you guys. And, John Tyler's got a fantastic team. They're very well coached by Rick Lynn-Holmes, and they have a lot of seniors. They bring back 14 guys that started on last year's team, and they dropped down from 6A to 5A. And, they really made Frisco Lone Star look pedestrian last week. And I know they're going to bring a lot of people to the Frisco Star. They're used to traveling to Dallas. They played in the Dallas district all year, so they should be quite a challenge for HP.
Hey, Miles, this is Hek'ma, man. I think I'm the only one qualified here to ask you a question, okay? So I got a good football question for you.
Eric has never worked for Highland Park. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, my bad.
The guys
Chiofalo,
in the jackets can ask the unbiased question,
all right.
apparently.
Hey, Miles, all right, so I got a good one for you. So obviously, John Tyler is another one of those tough East Texas teams. Like you said, they travel well. They are athletic, they are big, and they play well in every area that you need a team to play well at. Their wide receiver, Keandre Street, guy is fast, big play ability. Their quarterback, he's also a guy with a good arm. Roderick Hawkins, he's going to be able to run the ball. And if you talk about what they did last week versus Frisco Lone Star, none of us predicted that Lone Star's defense would fold the way, or not, I don't want to say fold, will have 31 points put up against them, okay? Now this week, you guys cannot tell me that you're confident that you're just going to go in and roll these guys tomorrow, because that's going to be a big-time test for HP.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't say that they're going to roll. The Scots feel good about what they're doing, and they feel good about their matchups, and that's not to put down John Tyler, because like you said, they have a really good team, and their defense, Hek'ma, might be more impressive than their offense. They have a really, really good defense as well. But, the Scots have won 28 straight games. They've won 34 out of 35, so they have good reason to be confident. And you know what, Hek'ma, as well, they feel a little bit disrespected because, around the state, there's a lot of talk about who's all-state, this Whataburger all-state ballot, and there's only 2 Scots on the ballot. So, yes, they have a lot of people patting them on the back, but inside their building, they still feel like people are doubting them. And they're going to play with some confidence.
Miles, we were just talking about how John Tyler has done a good job, and you mentioned their defense. They've done a good job taking away the best player on opposing teams' offense. As we saw it last week against Lone Star with Mims. He had 0 catches at the end of that game, and he's their best player. Let's say, for instance, Finn Corwin is that guy for Highland Park. Who's the guy that steps up if Finn Corwin, for some reason, can't score a touchdown, which would be the first time, I think, in the history of his life?
Yeah, Finn Corwin just went over the 2,000-yard mark in a Scott uniform last week. He's got 27 touchdowns and 29 career games, so obviously he's good. But to your point, they have taken away, Trey Bradford from Lancaster. They took away Marvin Mims at Lone Star. Drew Scott has been really, really good for Highland Park. He's committed to Ohio State for lacrosse. He's a 3-sport star at HP. He's got 3 touchdowns, averaging over 20 yards a catch in the postseason. But I'll tell you this, guys, they have told me all year, this is maybe the deepest receiving core they've ever had at Highland Park, and they would be happy if a team would double Finn Corwin, because they're happy with just about any other matchup they have. On the inside, Ben Smith and Case Savage are definitely weapons. On the outside, I already mentioned Drew Scott, but Drew Dodge was their second leading receiver during the regular year. And then if you're going to double him, you're going to have one more guy's back turned to Chandler Morris, and he's run for 14 touchdowns this year. So they have plenty of weapons to go around, and it's hard to take out one guy in their scheme.
Miles, looking at special teams, I think that was a big factor in Highland Park being able to run away from Timberview as quickly as they did. How big of a factor do you think special teams could play into this one?
Well, both teams are really, really good. His name escapes me right now, but the kicker for the Lions is one of the best kickers they've played all year. Now, I will say this, Highland Park has a ton of wrinkles in their kicking game, and a lot of them they stole from other teams. And give the credit to Randy Allen. Look, he played Pulaski. They beat him. He played Rockwall. They beat him using onside kicks, running 2 players at the ball. And, guys, last week they pulled off my favorite play all year. They put on a punt return, they had their entire return unit run to the top of the field and had their returner deking like he was catching the ball when the ball was actually kicked to the bottom of the field, and Finn Corwin was able to take it to the house. So they take a lot of pride in their special teams, and every week when I talk to opposing coaches, they tell me, hey, we have to spend a bunch of periods during the week practicing special teams because Highland Park does so many different things.
Yeah, that's execution, man.
No doubt.
Miles, Tyler John Tyler offensively, they run the ball so well. Even against that vaunted Lone Star defense last week, they ran the ball for almost 250 yards. How confident are you, and how confident do you think Highland Park is in their run defense?
Well, their run defense has been really, really good all year long. They've actually not allowed a 200-yard rusher this season. And guys, they've played a really strong slate of running backs. They really haven't faced too many teams that pass the ball well outside of Jacob Clark and Rockwall first game of the year. But they've gone up against a really talented slate, including last week, 2 backs from Mansfield Timberview that are really good. But here's what's interesting, fellas. I was telling you guys about how dinged up Highland Park was at the linebacker position, losing 2 of their stars for the season. Now they've gotten a little bit healthier, and they found some guys that weren't even playing that position, and now that's turned into a position where they have a lot of depth and a lot of playmakers. So their defense, I think, is better than it was last year and comparable to their 2016 unit. And so far this year for Highland Park, stopping the run has absolutely been their forte. Lancaster was the closest team to get to 200, and they've really shut people down all year.
It really is going to be a fun game to watch, and maybe a chance that Highland Park has finally a little bit of a test for the Chandler Morris and company. Miles Dunklin, the voice of the Highland Park Scots, on the line again. Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Thanks so much, Miles. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Should be a fun one.
Thanks, boys. Always enjoy the show.
Definitely. And, man, Miles, he's got a good one tomorrow because that's going to be a lot of fun to look at. And you look at this Highland Park team, and they've been really untested. I would probably say Lone Star has been their biggest test. Well, look at what this John Tyler team did to Lone Star last week, and that's definitely going to be a huge case. Some other updates from throughout the area. How about let's look at some TAPS football. Bishop Lynch and the Friars, Bishop Dunn and the Falcons. 4:46 left in this game, and, man, we've got a defensive battle. Down at Waco Midway, Panther Stadium hosting these two. And Bishop Dunn led this game 7-3, actually led it 7-0. And Lynch has since taken this football game over thanks to a muffed punt right near the goal line, man. Gosh. Bishop Lynch recovers it and then scores the touchdown.
Charles Crawford with the touchdown run, and we know Bishop Lynch, I mean, they go through Charles Crawford running the football on offense, and it's not a surprise. When you look at 9-7, these are two teams' defense leads the way. That's how they've gotten to this point here in the state championship game for TAPS.
Yeah, and it's a shame for Dunn. I mean, the one thing you can't do when you're a team like Dunn, really for either one of these teams, is shoot yourself in the foot because your offense isn't going to be able to pull you out of it with these defenses on the field. And Dunn's defense, we know, I mean, we talk about them as being one of the best defenses we've seen in a while, and that's a team that lost
Brian Williams.
And they lost Marquez Beeson to Duncanville, Hek'ma's guy, and so you just imagine how much
the brother.
Yeah, well, actually, I think it's his cousin, by the way, but neither here nor there.
That's twins, actually.
That's a Dunn defense that's been incredible, and they did, man, what they did to Houston St. Pius, 42-0, and Grant Gunnels, the quarterback for Houston St. Pius, is an Arizona commit. He was almost 5,000 yards. He needed just like he needed like 200 yards in the game against Bishop Dunn to break 5,000. He threw for 88 yards against that Dunn defense. I mean, it's incredible. You can see it on the stats there. I mean, both of these teams win with defense, and it's a turnover like you would probably imagine that's probably going to end up deciding this game. Not that it's over, but Dunn's going to have to do something with 4 minutes left in this game that they haven't done on offense. I mean, they got 100 yards total of offense. They're going to have to pull something, maybe a rabbit out of their head or something.
And their defense has been so good. I mean, Crawford is averaging 1.14 yards per carry right now. 21 carries, 24 yards, and it's literally that miscue that got them right outside of the goal line that Lynch was able to push it in. Could be the difference in the game, but Dunn does have the football, and they are driving.
By the way, one note on Brian Williams, who's the Texas A&M commit, number 2 safety, 4-star in the state of Texas. 23 career interceptions, broke the school record. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember the guy's name, but the guy who did it played at Notre Dame back in the day. So I mean, it's a good record there for Mr. Brian Williams, and he's got 5 interceptions this year. 4 of them returned for a touchdown.
Yeah, Brian Williams is a baller. But Bishop Lynch, man, that is one team that all year has been Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, 4 losses on the year. We know they have a stout defense, and they have been all year. Crawford is the one that gets it going for them rushing wise. But just to see how far they've come this year, we talk about all these other teams in the city that have had to overcome some adversity to be where they are. Bishop Lynch is another one of those teams that have stuck with it, stayed true to who they are, and look at where they are right now. They could win a state title.
Yeah, and that's a young team. Only returned 3 starters on offense this year, and depended a lot on their run game and obviously their defense. I do want to shout out 2 of their studs: SMU commit D lineman Darren Walls, and then linebacker going to University of North Texas.
There we go. There he is.
Grayson Murphy. These 2 guys have combined for 16 sacks and 40 tackles for a loss.
Yep.
So, that defense is incredible. And Bishop Lynch is trying to be the 5th team in 6 years to win TAPP's Division I state championship after not winning their district. So they're trying to make a little history.
And, the DFW area has been dominating TAPPs recently. This is no short thing here with a DFW team most likely hoisting. Well, it will be. We'll be hoisting the championship. And for Dunn, what a run. We'll see if they're able to come back and win this game. But to knock off Pressman Christian Academy, the defending TAPP state champions, and then last week to get by Parish Episcopal, that's maybe the 2 best offenses in TAPPs.
Yeah, and
they were able to beat.
And they forced them. They only had 54 rushing yards last week. That's Parish did, and they sacked Preston Stone 6 times.
Woo, that'll do it.
That Dunn defense is
that'll do it.
Well, guys, I've got a little surprise for you.
What's the surprise?
I love surprises.
We've got live streaming of the Bishop Lynch Bishop Dunn game available. This is from the fan tag cam. Oh, drop the mic a little bit.
Oopsie daisy.
That's how big of an announcement this was. This is for a first down on 3rd down. It says 2nd and 7 down at the bottom. But 3rd down is where this is actually going to be. Bishop Dunn with the football driving right now underneath 2 minutes to play, and they're going to have to...
Oh, this is good stuff.
Oh, they're going to have to make this one.
So, right in the thick of this thing.
Now, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break.
What? You cannot go to break
now. We're going to go to break. We've
what
got
are you
3
doing?
minutes.
We'll come back for the end.
3 minutes, and we'll bring you the conclusion.
Brian Williams is screaming at us right now.
You're exactly
Gosh,
right.
how can
Bishop
you go
Lynch,
to break?
Bishop Dunn when we come back. Whataburger Friday Night Stars. It's the regional semifinals, and in some cases, the state championship.
Hey, we'll have that La Vega Argyle final for you as well.
You're exactly right. Coming up on the other side of the break, we're live from the Star in Frisco. Glad you're with us. We'll be back in a moment.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called Fan Tag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. Fan Tag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the Fan Tag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try Fan Tag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in-store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
In a world where a young family embarks on an incredible journey, a son gets lost in an epic film. A father wills his team to victory, while a mother tries to talk to her daughter, who is posting online at a rate she has never seen until now. With high-speed Wi-Fi, free live TV and movies, there's something for everyone. Download the American app, and the best in entertainment travels with you.
How about some taps? State championship, the action far sideline.
Bishop done! Bishop done!
They've done it again!
They've done it!
Unbelievable!
Bishop
Oh my gosh!
Couldn't do anything offensively all game!
Pandemonium! 42 seconds left.
In the sexiest uniforms we've seen all night, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Almost
Oh
as
my
sexy as the yellows of La Vega.
Look at that cut right here at the end.
Skirt, skirt!
Oh!
Yes, sir!
Oh my goodness. You got to think that'll seal it. Can Bishop Lynch make a play on offense that's greater than 5 yards?
They are done. D-U-N-N-E, boys.
At the hands of Bishop Dunn.
But can we call a Hail Mary for a Taps game?
Not if Brian Williams has anything to
Brian
say
Williams
about
about
it.
to take it back to the house for another touchdown.
He's about to get that 6 INT, 5th for a touchdown.
Setting records, taking
what
names.
now?
Wow.
Sorry, Lynch.
Sorry. The man, that was fun. That was fun to look at. And Bishop Dunn, my goodness, what a season they've had. And like you said, they've run through some incredible competition on their way to a state championship. Defeating Parrish last week was a big time hurdle for them. And
how about them to do nothing offensively all game and then when
figure
you
it out?
need it the most with 2.5 minutes
time.
left,
They're able
you
to
go down there and
figure
make
it
it
out.
happen.
That's
That's
a championship drive right there, boys. That's what it's all about.
We'll go back to this game here in just a moment, but first we've got another final to look at. How about the number one team in all of 4A going down?
They are
number one no longer.
Kaput. Number one no longer. La Vega out of Waco gets the revenge, and the Argyle Eagles, thanks to 4 turnovers on the night, have seen their magical run and their magical win streak come to a close. La Vega gets the revenge after a 31-29 loss earlier in the season, and they just dominated this football game, boys.
They really did.
Does that mean I have to put bounce back Bo to rest?
Yeah, I think so. And look, and Bo tried in the second half. He threw a couple of touchdowns, but ultimately the turnovers were too much in the play of John Richards from Waco La Vega. 19 carries, 217 yards, 4 touchdowns. Boys, can we all say it together? John Richards, you are the Friday night star of the night.
That's
Put
the
the
man.
team on your back, my man.
All right, on 3. Ready? John Richards, you
you
are the star
Friday
of
night
the
star of the
night.
night.
Oh, Friday. Dang it.
Yeah, you
Eric,
missed it.
one more time, Eric.
John Richards, you are the Friday night star of the night, baby.
Foskey.
Woo! Big game tomorrow, Foskey. I'm pulling for you, bud.
Let's talk about it.
What just happened?
They are on a whole nother level right now.
It's just
La Vega
pandemonium.
with a big time win, 31-14.
Slung it all
And
over the field.
Look, a
Jay
great year for Argyle,
Yeah,
but
definitely
we
so.
knew coming into this one it was going to be a very, very close game. And John Richards, who did not play in that first game in week 2, that Argyle had to rally, came back and won 31-29. Today, it was all about Waco La Vega, and the tradition of the Pirates continues as they're going back to the state semifinal.
Going back to the state semis, and you look at La Vega, now they've got a matchup with Decatur on the horizon, and you look at Decatur as a team, not nearly as strong as Argyle, but an upset-minded Decatur Eagles team that they're going to face next week. This is a La Vega team that now, with this win, they've got nothing less than a state championship on the mind again for that Pirates program coming out of Waco, and it'll be fun to look at next week, but man, definitely an impressive outing so far on the night. Now, talking back at that TAP State Championship Division I game, we've got 21 seconds left, and I've got it on the fan tag cam, and this is what we're going to go to right now. Bishop Lynch trailing 9 points on the board for Lynch compared to Bishop Dunn. Just an incomplete pass just a moment ago, and this is with 2nd and 10 from their own side of the field. Bishop Lynch with the football now. Dunn, of course, leading. And, man, we've got a close game here. We might just ride this out and watch the remainder of this football game because it really has been that impressive so far. With that being said, if Lynch is able to get this done, might be one of the more exciting finishes we'll see in all of football. This is, by the way, once again, for the state championship in the TAPS level, incomplete pass may have actually been a better idea to drop that football.
Well,
clock stops.
It's a shame for Lynch because right now they could only be needing a field goal had they made the extra point when they scored their touchdown a few minutes ago. They missed that. Now
they went for two. They went for two.
Oh, they went for two.
And they failed. Yeah, that's what happened there.
Oh, my God.
But, I mean, either way,
right now.
A field goal is not going to do you anything for Bishop Lynch. So it's touchdown or bust here.
No, it is. But I'm saying what a shame it is because if you get the extra point there, you only need 3 now. But instead, you got 17 seconds to go the length of the field against a done defense that it ain't happening.
Yeah, the only thing they're thinking right now is get close enough so that they can launch one to the end zone. That's their only hope.
Yeah, and then Brian Williams gets number 6, baby.
Yeah, we'll see if he can pick one. Here's Colden Salter, incomplete. Look at the pressure from Bishop Dunn. I mean, their defense is
we got a flag. We got yellow.
Now, that's the one thing that'll keep Bishop Lynch alive here.
A little bit of laundry.
If defensively you get some penalties, you're able to extend a drive. But this is just a worst-case scenario for Bishop Lynch. I mean, an offense that clearly they've had no success at all. And this one's going to go against the offense. So for Bishop Dunn, they are sitting pretty right now, just seconds away.
A state championship potentially for Bishop Dunn.
Lynch still with one timeout in the back pocket. So, I mean, probably at least 2 plays left here. And they can still throw the ball to the middle of the field.
Wow. Should be a whole lot of fun. You see that sideline. They can feel it. They really can. This being played down in Waco and trying to win another state championship here.
Yeah, this is definitely for all the marbles, man. 11 seconds left.
They bring the blitz.
Oh, my God. He's scrambling. He's got to heave it.
Oh, where's Brian Williams? There he is. Dang it.
Oh, 1 second left.
Oh, yeah.
But that was 4th down. So it's over.
There it is. So all Dunn's
the clock didn't run out. The clock ran out.
Went ahead and just ticked it off.
Yeah, let's do you boys.
And Bishop Dunn, the 2018 Division I TAPS State champions. Wow. As they take down Bishop Lynch.
They're the best defense in TAPS all year long.
What a game.
Well-deserved. Yes. What a season for Bishop Dunn and the Falcons.
They've really been in it from the very get-go. They have been all over the place in an incredible season for Bishop Lynch. Great run for them, but Bishop Dunn, kings of TAPS, yet again, another state championship for them. But as we continue throughout the Friday night here of Friday Night Stars, I've got a couple announcements we've got to make, and I haven't even told you guys about this. This has completely been
another
a secret.
Surprise. You just unloading these surprises.
It is the giving season.
It is the giving season, and I feel like as the host, I'm supposed to give. So with that being said, next week we've got something I want to tease. We're going to be giving away our Friday Night Stars Awards, where us four, along with our crew that's in the studio, along with the fans, are going to vote on potential. We'll give basically our top 5.
I can see this getting big, guys.
You're exactly right. We're going to give our top 5 in each of these awards. Most valuable player, coach of the year, offensive, defensive player of the year, things of the sort.
Should we wear a tux? I'll wear a tux. I got one.
Should we? Are we going to roll out the red carpet as well?
If you fit the bill to rent the tuxes, I'm about that.
We call it the Friday Night Stars Gala.
Well, after the way,
it's a gala.
Whatever.
No, it's a
gala, whatever, man. Come on, man.
Get Pat Doney in here.
Yeah, Pat Doney may have a vote.
No doubt.
That's exactly what we're going to do next week. We're going to have some Friday Night Stars Awards. We're going to vote for our top 5, and based off of a point system, we're going to decide the champion. So it's not like each of us is going to give an award out. We're going to have one collective award as a show that we're going to put out there. We're going to post it on social media. The deadline for us to put that together is by Thursday of next week. We'll announce them on Friday during the state semifinal show. We'll get you ready for the state finals, of course, for all of UIL. TAPS now taken care of, but should be a whole lot of fun next week, and we'll definitely talk about that coming up next week. But I did want to let that be known that our Friday Night Stars yearly awards will be handed out next week. So
I'm excited, man.
Should be a little bit of fun.
There's the Grammys, there's the Oscars, and then there's the cream of the crop, the Friday Night Stars Award Show.
It's a death match. It's all about just who's going to get the most points, who's going to get their guy through. It's almost as heated as the Hall of Fame voting goes.
Is it?
Some say even more so.
What about the Heisman voting?
That's
way
heated.
bigger. Way bigger.
We're way bigger than the Heisman.
I think that this is far greater.
I think Kyler Murray and Allen.
We've got a lot more
probably
players to go through than the Heisman. The final 3 that finally make it to New York. I mean, we're talking about
Give yourself a little credit, Kyle.
30 guys.
Okay, well, if you say so.
The Heisman house is big.
I
And
mean,
beautiful.
how are you going to? Who's more deserving? You got a Michael Blackett there with the quarterbacks. We've also got Jahari Rogers,
Jaquindon Jackson,
Chandler Rogers, Shaquindon.
You're
Chandler
definitely right.
Morris. I mean, what are we going to do? Is it 6A? Is it 5A? Is it? It's over. I mean, there's so much we've got.
He just overwhelmed himself.
This is too much for me. This is too much.
Yeah,
I'd rather vote for the Heisman.
Well, there is a high school Heisman. There's another thing. I think Gatorade hands it out or something.
And there's the Tom Landry Award. Which is
but then there's our thing. So
it's going to be official. It will be a lot of fun to look at. But we've got one more guest coming into the studio here in just a moment. Guy Frazier is also in the
He just
How about
busted
that?
in the
He
door.
stopped it. What a guy.
He didn't wait on anybody to cue him. He is boom. I'm in here.
There he is. I've been waiting long enough.
We should have had some smoke.
We've got to
some lasers.
We got
all
to
of
get
that
Guy
stuff.
in. It's halftime. He's covering the 2 games at the Star today, so he's got to jump in here. But Guy, I mean, how have these games been so far here tonight? And are you looking forward to the triple header tomorrow?
I'm nervous about tomorrow. You know, I'm a Scotty homer, but no, tonight's been fun. The Iowa Park game was a freaky good finish. Came down to the wire, and this game got flipped on its head there in the second quarter. You know, it's 14-0 Pitt, and then Pleasant Grove, takes a 20-0 run and has the lead at halftime. So,
well, let's look at the triple header tomorrow, and we'll start with you are a Highland Park grad, so the Highland Park Scots taking on Tyler John Tyler. We had Miles Dunklin earlier. We did our previews. You have been by far. We know Ashley Pickle's hardworking, but Guy Frazier, especially to the playoffs,
for sure.
Yeah.
Guy has been out there. He has seen all of these teams.
Keeping us updated on everything that's going on.
He is our eyes and ears out there on the field, so he can tell us greater than anybody how good these teams really are.
I think Guy should get our football guy award. Our Friday Night Stars
well,
just football
Guy's
we
vote
might make that a thing.
probably trumps any other vote. But Guy, I mean, what are you thinking? Let's go through. We'll start with Tyler John Tyler tomorrow in Highland Park and that matchup. What are you looking for?
Well, I was actually supposed to see JT back in week 3 or week 4 against Euless Trinity, and the game got canceled due to the weather. So I haven't actually seen them yet. But I assume they're going to have athletes per usual, like they always do. But that's not the first time Highland Park's played someone like that. I think it's going to be a dogfight, though, and I think it's going to be really a good test for Highland Park.
What's your confidence meter?
1 to 10.
I'm nervous right now, but the team, I'm at practice every day. That staff is kind of taking me under their wing.
As they should.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into coaching at some point, so we'll see how that goes. But I mean, they're real confident. They like their game plan, so I think it's going to be a good test for both teams. And look, there's no turkeys after Thanksgiving, so it's always fun at this point.
How many games have you been to this season? I know you keep count on Twitter, but how many games have you been a part of?
36 high school games, and I think 9 or 10 college games.
Okay,
That's
so
exciting.
That's over 40 games this season. And out of those 40 games, who has really impressed you the most out of any level, anywhere, in terms of dominance and in terms of what you've seen from an X's and O standpoint?
Well, we're going to see them tomorrow at Duncanville.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, they're unreal.
That's music to Heckman's ears right
Yeah,
now.
I
It's
bet
a
it
duffel
is.
bag boy.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I saw him one full game. I saw him against Skyline. I was supposed to see him against Sock earlier in the year. The game got canceled in the first quarter. So that didn't end up, being anything. But God, they're physical, and they move to the ball so fast on defense. And their defense gets a lot of credit, but that offense is really explosive too. And I don't think they get enough talk. And maybe it's because of the district that they're in. They don't really play anybody, but they do what you're supposed to do against bad teams, and that's just beat the dog out of them. So, yeah, they're by far the most physical and just impressive team eye test wise I've seen all year.
Now, have you seen South Lake Carroll?
I have.
So how do you think that those two teams match up?
Well, I saw them in week 1 against South Grand Prairie, and just from what I've kept up with, that's probably their worst game of the year. Now, they won, but they weren't very good throughout that game. They're kind of shaking. I mean, South was a good team this year, South Grand Prairie, but they struggled to move the ball down the field through the air. So the fact that South Lake had to kind of hang in that game with them, I don't know. That didn't impress me too much, but obviously they've rolled since then. So I think it could be a really good game tomorrow. My opinion, though, is I think Duncanville rolls. That might be kind of bold, but I could see it happening.
And we'll predict this game coming up after the break, but I don't think you're really going out on a limb that bad to say that Duncanville might roll in this football game. In terms of the late game, Birdville and Denton Ryan, do you see any chance here for Birdville to get revenge on Denton Ryan, or is Denton Ryan that stacked?
Denton Ryan's pretty stacked. this may not be the most popular opinion. I don't think they're nearly as good as they have been the last 2 years.
They're not. There's no way they are.
They're not. And you don't have Spencer Sanders.
Yeah, you don't have number 3 in the back.
Travasky Love. You don't have the Gabriel Douglas receivers. But they're not as good. They don't really play anybody in that region. But they're 13-0. They've done a lot of good things, obviously. They're undefeated. But I don't think Birdville's as strong top to bottom. That's the speed on Denton Ryan's defense, especially in their front seven, is freaky fast. I mean, they're on top of you really, really quick. So, I don't think Birdville has a shot with them. We'll see the next week if Highland Park and Denton Ryan were to meet up again for round 3, how that would go. But no, I think Ryan, wins that one with some ease tomorrow night.
Should be a whole lot of fun to watch. A triple header. You've got Highland Park, John Tyler. Then you've also got Duncanville, South Lake Carroll. And then you've also got Birdville.
But, Guy, I got one for you. So you've watched 40 games, and you've watched a lot of offense. And so, obviously you're getting into coaching. And so here, I got one for you. So there's coaches, man, they have these coaching rules, and you've seen enough teams for me to ask you this question. You got one team, you got one play on offense to win the game. What team are you saying right now is money in the bank? If they have one play left, what team are you saying, I've seen these guys play enough, and that is one team that I can say, if these two combine or this one player does his thing, it's lights out, they're going to score?
Where are we on the field?
We're on the 10-yard line going
10-yard
in.
line? I'm going to go with Highland Park. But I also would say Longview as well. Now, and that might be the homer pick, but I love Chandler and that offense.
I know you love Haynes King as well.
But Haynes King's my guy. Yeah. And Coach King, John King, you
got one
he's
play
rolled with him this year. I don't know. I'm going to go with Longview. I'm going to go with Haynes King. They're kind of they actually run like a real pro-style type offense. They're real multiple. They'll hammer the ball on the ground as well. But Haynes, he's been nails this year. And I've been a fan of him since last year. And I think they're a team of destiny right now. And I think they could be a lot of fun if they get to a state final game. I think there could be 40+ thousand people there just for Longview because East Texas kind of backs East
Texas, right?
And it's Beast Texas, right? So, I'm praying for that as well. I want to see Longview in the 6A D2 state championship too.
What about that Reedy and Aledo game? Where do you lean in that one? Because that to me is, I know, and we haven't gotten to touch on it too much because of all these other matches.
Well, let's talk about it now.
I mean, yeah.
That's why we're here.
I mean, Foskey's been our guy.
But man, the well-oiled machine of Aledo.
Yeah,
goodness gracious,
what are you thinking there, man?
Well, I saw Reedy back in week 2 against the Colony here, and they impressed me. They're physically the part for Aledo. I just wonder if they have the speed to hang with some of those guys. I mean, Jace McClellan and then JoJo Earl are unreal fast, and I'm not sure there are anybody like that on that Reedy defense that can hang with those guys. Physically, they can. I just don't know if they have the speed out on the perimeter to hang with them. So that could be an issue. I mean, I thought Sock could have beaten Aledo last week. I thought they beat themselves.
Of course I did.
And that was a long night for me. I was there. It was, rain delay. And then on top of that, I thought really Sock kind of spoiled a good opportunity for themselves. I think this Aledo team's beatable. So I think Reedy has a chance. I don't know if this is the team to do it. I think who could beat them is Fort Bend Marshall in the 5A D2 state championship if it was to happen. Fort Bend Marshall finally got over that hump, and they beat Manville this year, kind of got that monkey off their back, and they're unreal. They got away with a win last night against Huntsville, and I think that could be the team that matches up speed and physically with Aledo. So we'll see if that happens here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think that Coach Stephen Wood from Aledo last week, he had a masterful game plan versus
Well, they came out and they ran the ball. What was it? Their first, I think they opened the drive. They just ran. So definitely an interesting strategy.
But no one thought that they were going to do that, be able to run the ball versus Sock. But they played ball control, and they literally pounded it on Sock.
Well, I mean, let me say this, though. Sock scored 4 touchdowns last week, right? 3 of them, they got the ball inside Sock's territory to begin with. So I don't care how good your defense is. That's a tall test for anybody.
Right.
So, I mean, Sock had the ball for all of 2 minutes in the first quarter. So, I mean, I wasn't shocked that Aledo put on the ground, but the fact that they were able to just do it with such consistency, that was kind of impressive. But, I mean, they earned that game last week, but Sock in a lot of ways beat themselves too and kind of gave them the, when you're starting inside their territory every time, That's easy money.
Yeah, well, that's what they did. I mean, McClellan last week, he was phenomenal. But then, Coach Wood, he just shows you, hey, you still got 2 more years to deal with this JoJo kid. And that was a whole nother wrinkle that no one. And that's the thing about coaching that is so masterful when you can come into a game plan and show so many different dimensions of your game. And Alito did that last week.
Well, they're the model of consistency, especially at that level.
No doubt.
So. I mean, you got to give it to them. And I picked them in my state championship. They're my winner. I'm not the biggest fan of Alito personally. My dad went to Alito way back in the day when they were a little 2A, so I've got family out there. But I'm kind of ready for someone new. But until they lose, which they lost last year in the state championship game. But
you don't think Reedy's the team to do it? I mean, they come in. People don't know this, but Reedy only allowing 83 rushing yards per game, which is about the same as Sauk was coming into last week. Now, obviously, South Oak Cliff, a much more athletic, talented defense, but that Reedy defense, people have been sleeping on. They've been playing some good ball.
Like I said, I think in the trenches, Reedy will be fine. It's once those guys get out into space, I kind of worry if that, because when I watch the Colony, and I'm drawing blanks on some of the names, but some of those guys for the Colony, like
Miles
Price, those guys,
Abdallah,
Joey. I was about to say Abdallah. Yeah, when they got out in space, they kind of gave Reedy trouble from what I remember. That was a long time ago now, but. I mean, those are athletes. So if you got Jace and JoJo Earl and people like that, I wonder if they're going to be able to test. They will test Reedy, and how will Reedy, punch back on that? I don't really know. So,
Foskey,
Michael Ferrara. Oh yeah, that's going to be some offensive explosions to be had in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and an explosion of knowledge into the studio.
Coach
Frazier, Coach Frazier on Twitter, always covering it as we will let him walk back out of the door as quickly as he came back in. But while he walks out, I do want to look at this graphic, and this is how Alito and Reedy both got there. And this is kind of interesting to me because you look at the way that Reedy kind of got to this point. Same thing with Alito. You look at Reedy, big-time win over Ennis. Then they beat a Midlothian team. Midlothian with a big-time upset in the first round of the playoffs. And then you got Midlothian Centennial, also a good team, but much easier taken care of there for Reedy. And then on the other side, of course, Alito's pretty much had the toughest road so far. Lovejoy, not a bad team. That was a
not a bad team.
12-1 or 11-1 team at the time. Then you've got South Oak Cliff. Of course, they were undefeated heading into last week, and then you got that 28-14 win. This is an Alito team that's battle-tested. Not only are they battle-tested, but they got a big-time win and a confidence boost with that win over Sauk last week. Frisco Reedy, we've kind of kept an eye on them all season long. We've said, hey, if they come up against the big dogs, we'll see what they can do. Well, now it's time to actually see if it gets done.
Yeah, and we'll find out. I mean, last week against a Burleson Centennial team is who it was. They beat them 34-7, and they looked like Centennial didn't deserve to be on the same field as them. So Reedy has really breezed by their opponents up to this point. Alito obviously tested last week against South Oak Cliff. Now, maybe South Oak Cliff didn't have the offensive firepower that Reedy will bring to the table. We know about that defense. So I'm excited to see how Reedy does. Obviously, this has been a historical run for them. Their first ever undefeated season, first ever district championship, first ever playoff wins. Can they continue to make the list of firsts and get to their first state semifinal?
Yeah, does the carriage turn back into a pumpkin? And you see that happen for a lot of teams that's never been there and done that. Alito is that team. They've been there, they've done that, and they show you over and over and over again. Once you get used to one thing, we'll give you another poison so you don't get used to it. And I was so impressed by the victory last week versus South Oak Cliff because I thought that South Oak Cliff would be able to also stay with them scoring-wise. Another thing has to be said about this season, and we talked about it earlier, the rain and how teams have had to adjust to that. Football is a game of momentum. And I think when you take a 5-hour break in between the game, it's so hard to gauge who has the momentum. And so much has been impacted by that. And I think that the rules makers are going to have to really take a good look at that because I mean, I don't know. I can't play a game, stop playing, then start playing. You know, the way that kids have had to adjust to that on an amateur level, the way that they had, and I think that has had huge ramifications this year in Texas high school football.
It definitely has. We talked about how that affects games like this, and this game may be affected like that as well. It already has been. This is a game that we talked about between Alito and Frisco Reedy that should have been played right now. It should be already either close to being over with or right into the start of that second half. Well, instead, it's being played tomorrow, and instead of it being in where was that? Oh, it was at Pennington Field originally. Now it's at Justin Northwest. And so it's a change of different stadiums, change of times, change of game plans maybe. If there's water on the field, though, I think it does favor Alito because they've got that ground game working a little bit better than Foskey and company for Frisco Reedy. But it should be fun to watch. They've got Fort Bend Marshall, Wichita Falls Ryder waiting in the wings, and then they got I don't even know how to say CC. Is that Calallen? Calallen. And then Calhoun down there as well. So a couple good games to keep an eye on for that one as well. Now, we've got one more item of business to take care of before we call it a night here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Hek'ma's favorite part of the show.
Hek'ma's favorite part of the show. Now, I do apologize.
I whine about it.
I don't have the current standings, and I will make sure that is updated for next week.
You got a lot to do when it comes to these
put
awards, the standings.
I'm still comfortably in first, though, right?
No.
Chiofalo.
I would probably say
everybody knows.
made up a little bit of ground.
Slip up last week?
Mrs. Wolchuk knows that you're not in first place. Okay.
Well, Debbie is a huge fan of the show.
I know.
So
that's why I'm giving her a shout out, man.
She's actually pulling for me.
Well, we've got 5 games to predict
to beat Hek'ma
and to try and beat Hek'ma. I think Wolchuk's already pulled ahead here, and I'm telling you right now, whenever I've got to go to, I'm going to be in Las Vegas next week. So
just
on the way.
You're going to look like crap when you get back.
I know it's going to be bad.
Hey, you've put a lot on your plate.
On Friday,
smokes.
Now here's the thing: I'm going to do this while I'm in the airport. I'm going to go back and I'm going to make sure we have every pick taken care of all year long.
You remember that Denton Ryan in Birdview when you do
Birdview?
Now you're so embarrassed about it.
I am mad about it. That's what my words are jumbling up. I'm so
With that
upset
being
about
said,
that pick.
It's so cold.
Let's pick them. Let's pick it again. Birdville, Denton Ryan, Eric. Who you got?
Well, Denton Ryan, boys. I think that I hate to say it's an easy one for me because I love Birdville and their story and what they've done. I think they're going to come back next year even better. But I think the beautiful, magical season stops here. Denton Ryan, defense too good. Hennigan at quarterback, gotten better and better. I just think Ryan is just the better football team. They showed it earlier this year. I think they show it again.
Yeah, I mean, 16 defensive touchdowns this year for Ryan. Birdville, a sensational season, and I think Ladarius Mixon will have success on the ground, but I just don't think it'll be enough Ryan all the way.
All right.
You know, fool me once, shame on me.
Shame on you.
You can't fool me again. That's what you can't do it.
Shout out to the president.
Shout out to the president. And no. Also, guys, condolences to the Bush family for the loss that they had. We have to make sure that we say that.
Yeah,
for sure. And so, guys, I'm going Birdville. Wow. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again.
Hey, I love it. If it happens, you'll look like a genius.
I know I will.
Wow.
I know I will. Birdville.
He just went Corso on us.
Okay.
He let it all
Well,
up.
we just need the hawk hat.
I wish I had one. Boy, don't you know what I would do?
Man, you should have let us know. We'd have tried a little harder.
I like it. You know what? Birdville was in that game from the get-go.
So you're going to take them?
Birdville had a chance in that football game. They let it slip through their fingertips thanks to turnovers late
so
in the
you're gonna
first
take
matchup. But and this time you're in the star. It's going to be Denton Ryan. I'm sorry.
Wow.
So, Denton Ryan.
A lot of build-up for nothing, but kudos to you, Hek'ma.
Yeah, Hek'ma
Fall on the sword, brother.
He had the guts to get it done. I did not. Now, let's go to Waco Midway in Allen. That's being played down in Waco at McLean
Tell you what,
Stadium.
we'll make that a double or nothing. If Birdville wins, you get two games. Yeah, that can overlap that season finale.
Hey, man, I'm a player all by myself. I don't need a double. I'm good.
Okay. Hey, well, that's a pretty.
He likes being in second place.
It's the season of giving. It is what it is. I tried.
Okay. Waco Midway Allen. Hek'ma, who you got?
Bloom, bloom. That's what.
Just a little speed bump. Nothing. No problem. Let's keep going.
That's my pick.
Wow. Waco Midway today. Nothing but a speed bump.
Well, I think we do have to say thoughts and prayers with Coach Gamble and the Gamble family, obviously dealing with some health stuff with his father. So, but on the field, I think it's Allen. I think last week's game was pretty close against the Woodlands. They're a better football team than Midway. I think Allen rolls.
Listen, Waco, as of tonight, they made a miracle happen.
Yeah.
Maybe they can do it again tomorrow. La Vega did it tonight.
Yeah.
Midway do it tomorrow. My answer is no. Kyle?
My answer is yes.
You have to pick
the
Midway.
Unbiased pick of Kyle Youmans.
Well,
here's the
pick
thing.
Midway.
I talked to Coach Gamble this morning. I love Coach Gamble. I was at Midway when Coach Gamble was at Midway. He was the football coach while I was there. Know Coach Gamble well. Do want to wish him and his family well. I just think Midway's going to win this football game. You talk about it.
Can't believe you're going to pick against it.
I'm picking Allen. Not Allen. I'm picking Midway to beat Allen.
Now he said
I'm picking Midway to beat Allen. Here's the thing. You talk about a speed bump. If that's what you're thinking, imagine what Allen's thinking.
Yeah.
Might be another speed bump along the way to a potential Southlake Carroll Duncanville matchup that you quote unquote look ahead.
Are you
to.
saying this is a look ahead?
I'm saying this is a look ahead trap game, and I think Midway surprises him. I think Midway has a better game. Coach Jeff Human company. I think they win this game against Allen this week and really shock the Texas high school football world. I know it might be a biased pick. I'm a Panther for life. Wow. Panther pride never dies. But Midway is going to beat Allen. You mark my words. And if not, I'm embarrassed
maybe another Panther
for next week.
Yeah, mic off, please.
Geez, you really are. You're just trying to get set for Vegas, getting a little gutsy early. I like
you're
it.
exactly right. You're
I
exactly
like
right.
it
How about this?
Hey, courageous pick there, my friend.
Anybody going to be courageous and pick John Tyler over Highland Park? Zach, you start us off.
No, I'm going Highland Park. They're playing too well right now, and like I said, for John Tyler, their key to success is to try and find one player on offense and shut that player down. I just don't think that you can do that against Highland Park. They'll find somebody else to beat you.
Yeah, and after seeing what they did to Timberview last week, Highland Park, I think they're on a little bit of another level, but I think this will be an absolutely fantastic game.
I think this is going to be a closer game as well, but I still think I'm going to go with the Scots. They just rolled too quickly.
Look, truth is, Chandler Morris, watching this kid for a whole year, you take the HP off of him and all of the lure that comes with the program. The truth of the matter is the boy can just slang that pork.
Yep.
Okay, that's just what it is. All right, so I'm going with HP.
Going with HP.
And
so
Prince Dorba. Prince Dorba might be
the
the best defensive player remaining right now.
And with Miles coming on here and raving about the Highland Park rush defense and how it's been consistent all year and a real strength of theirs, I think that bodes well hugely for them in this game.
I think it does as well. I think it'll be a fun one to look out for. Now, final two games we've got to look for. I'm going to skip Duncanville, Southlake Carroll. Let's go to Longview, Spring Westfield. This is a Spring Westfield team, 12-1. Nobody should overlook Spring Westfield by any means. Even against Longview and the Lobos, I'm still going to pick Longview here, but I still think Spring Westfield makes this a game. I think it's a physical game, but I think the Lobos are just too strong, too good to get taken care of this one.
Yeah, well, Spring Westfield is also a very tough team, and they beat a really good Horn team last week, guys. Horn's defense is phenomenal as well, but not going to take them.
And such a good 3-7 Horn team that was. Jermaine Givens he lost his luster there. I'm going Longview all the way, man. I picked Longview to cruise to a state championship this year. I think this is just another step in that path.
Yeah, I think the best team, if we could ever get to see the matchup between the best team versus Allen, it would be Longview versus Allen. I think Longview runs away with this one. They're just too good top to bottom. We rave about their offense. Their defense is incredible. You're lucky to score 20 points on these guys.
We're about to see Midway and Allen, man, according to Kyle.
That's a good point. That's exactly what's happening.
We're doing Reedy and Alito, though, as well before Duncanville, Southlake Carroll.
Yeah, we can do that as well. And looking at Reedy and Alito, both undefeated. Alito with a little bit tougher of a schedule to look forward to, or that they looked back on, I should say. Reedy hasn't really played anybody up to the level of Alito this season. Can Reedy get it done, Eric?
As much as I love Foskey, and he's probably going to get some sort of award with us next week, he is at least deserving of that, but Alito too good, and as young as they are, it's scary because they're going to be here for a while.
They are a well-oiled machine. I'm going to go Alito in this one. I think it'll be fun. I think Frisco Reedy can make this a football game, but just too much on both sides of the football from Alito.
Look, guys, no momentum like momentum. I am going Frisco Reedy, guys. Foskey all day long.
Man,
I'm telling you,
what
they
Hek'ma's
have
doing tonight.
You just got to understand that these there's this time when you have just a magical season going on. It's happening in Haltom and it's also happening in Frisco. I just don't see them being stopped.
It's going to be tough to stop them, and I think it will be Alito to win this football game. I think Jace McClellan's too big. I think he's too good. I think there's too much firepower for the Bearcats. Hek'ma, I know you're all alone again.
That's okay.
But I like your pick. I honestly thought about taking Reedy in this game. I just don't think I can bring myself to do that against how good that Alito team has been with the Bearcats.
And truth is, Hek'ma, if I wasn't picking Alito, I would have picked Reedy.
That's very true. That is very true.
That's how close it was.
Way to go out on the limb, Eric.
All right, boys.
You got it, brother.
The game of the week, by far, throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Southlake, Duncanville. The Duffel Bag Boys versus
the Blondies.
The Blondies from Southlake.
Give me the Blondies, baby. Now, Guy Frazier just scared me, okay? He came in here and he scared the britches off me. I'm sticking to my guns. Southlake.
Your pants are still
Riley
on.
Dodge. Yeah, how'd that happen? Riley Dodge, I think, is the one offensive coach that can, if there is a weakness on that Duncanville defense, he will find it. He will exploit it. Southlake wins in a multitude of ways. Offensively, they can win through the air, on the ground. I think they find a way to do it in an epic game.
Wow. Okay, there you go. So Southlake pick there for Eric. Hek'ma, who you got?
If I don't do nothing, I'm going to ball. I'm counting all day like a clock on the wall. Count your money, little duffel bag boys. We count money.
Wow, that was good. Can I change my pick?
No.
Nope.
Can I rewind and hear that again?
Nope.
53 total points given up all year long. Duncanville has not allowed a team to score more than 14 points on them. South Oak Cliff did it last week. They were the first team to score multiple touchdowns. I think South Lake Carroll becomes the second, but it's not enough. Jaquindon Jackson and company, that defense, they find a way to get it done. And Stacy Brown is about to dominate this football game. Give me Duncanville all the way.
I'm taking Duncanville as well. They were my state championship pick. I don't think I haven't even blinked an eyelash all year long because I think they are that good, and I think Duncanville will take care of Southlake tomorrow. Hey, Hek'ma, who'd you pick? I forgot who you picked.
Come on, man. You serious?
I just want you to do it again.
Duncanville. I picked Duncanville.
That's a one and done.
That's my hood. There it is. Throwback to South Oak Cliff. You can't say that one again. Because
No, I can't. I'm still a
time.
little hurt about that one. I'm telling you, I really am.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. What a week it's been for Whataburger Friday Night Stars. My goodness, it's the regional finals. Next week, we're going to be down to 4 teams in each of the divisions throughout the state of Texas. We're coming to a close, boys. We've got 2 more shows left. We are almost done with 2018. Glad you've been with us here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars. What a show it's been here from the Star in Frisco. Aledo, Reedy tomorrow. Southlake Carroll. How about Duncanville tomorrow? So many games on the docket. Argyle's season comes to a close tonight as Waco La Vega knocks off the #1 Eagles. You've got Waco Midway. You've got Allen. You've got so many games
and
to
a
look
TAP
for
State
tomorrow.
champion in Bishop Dunn.
Bishop Dunn, TAP State champions, thanks to a last-minute touchdown down in Waco. Look at that one-handed
what a
catch.
catch.
Oh, my. What a catch there. You look at Duncanville, how Jaquindon Jackson, oh, he's been so good. So much this season, all the way
Tristan
through.
Smith.
Glad you've been with us here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars. For everybody involved, for Chris Bean, for Fred Garner, for Matt Kent, for Chance Williams, for Guy Frazier. Thanks to Pat Doney for joining us earlier in the show. For Eric Chiofalo, Zach Wolchuk, and Hek'ma Harrison, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long until next week. Texas high school football will be back next Friday.